right? And Steve, who probably wasn't as cool as he is now, you're a bit of a freak
in those days.
yeah.
Imagine.
And it just covered him, and he just went like this. He went, "Well, now you've got to clear that up," which I found even funnier.
Yeah, but you did have to clear it up.
I did. But I was crying with laughter as I was clearing it up and taking it out of your keyboard.
Yeah, but I think I don't think I gave you enough of a reaction.
No.
Because you didn't really do stuff like that afterwards.
No.
I think you were looking for real annoyance. And this is the weird thing about this relationship, is that despite the fact he's, 10 years older than me, I was often for a long time the adult. I say it for a long time. I think so. Often the adult.
I think it's what. Yeah, I think that's what drove the dynamic. And also, I was the laziest person in the world. I remember once when we were working, we were writing, and Steve said, "Look, we've got a lot of work to do." He said, "Don't have too many sausages at lunchtime," wasn't it? And I
actually fell asleep that day.
Yeah, because there was jumbo sausages in the BBC canteen. You meant to have one. I said, "I can handle two," and I had two. He said, "Don't eat two, Rick." And I did fall asleep, didn't I, when we were writing?
Yeah, he fell asleep under the table. I didn't realise he was asleep, and we were writing away, and part of the script, and I was reading out this bit that we'd written, and part of it involved someone knocking on the door. So I knocked on the table as I was reading it out, and he woke up thinking someone was coming in the office, banged his head on the side of the table.
Oh dear, just like Lennon and McCartney.
Yeah.
Someone actually asked earlier on the live chat, are you concerned that Karl Pilkington is going to become a bigger star stateside than you guys?
I want him to. I want him to be the biggest star in the world. I want him to be not just a star, but like an idol that people worship. Just little round things that is like like
they put on their dashboard.
Exactly, like Christianity uses a cross. It's just a little round orange sort of circle. Because I know he'll hate it. I just know he'll hate it.
Apart from Leonardo DiCaprio, was there anyone you wanted for extras that you didn't get? Anyone that you approached, told you to bugger off and shove it up your arse, says Jack Lovejoy?
There was only one person who said no, and that was Keith Harrison Orville.
Yes. Yes. And I think Sid Little, didn't he say no as well?
Oh yes, he did. Yeah, I think it was a bit too much for him. He thought. Yeah.
Was it after seeing a bit of the script that they were in?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I usually pitched it to him over the phone before we wrote it, and but no, he wasn't. He wasn't into it. Orville was up for it.
Oh, Orville would have been.
I don't know speak anymore over
that. Carol says, if you could pick the brain of any fictional character, who would you choose and why? Now, does that mean like that you could have the brain, or
Sherlock Holmes, or
what? And have it for yourself?
God, information from them.
God, I think. We asked Karl a question. If God exists, what would you want him to say to you when you got to heaven? And Karl went, "Is that how it works?" What do you mean? He said, "Well, he wouldn't be on the door, would he?" I went, "No. You go out to his office." And Karl said that he'd say to God, "Well done with the world and that, but I think you've put in too much water."
Hey, wow, this is a big question. What are the best things in life?
What are the best things in life? First thing I thought of there, sausages. But I'm off
I thought that might be the answer.
I don't know. A mother's tears, maybe a baby's laugh. Although Karl said that was the most frightening thing. When we asked him a question. We were doing the questions from inside the Access studio. We said, "What sound do you hate?" And he went, "A baby laughing would do me head in." I went, "Why?" He said, "If I had a kid and Suzanne was out, and I'd put it to bed, and then I woke up at 2 a.m. to the sound of a baby laughing," he said it would freak me out. I think he's thinking of like Chucky, just sitting up going, unbelievable. The best things in life. Well,
they're free.
Freedom. Well, no, freedom is surely.
That's important.
Surely. In every aspect. Freedom of speech, freedom to live a good life the way you like it. As long as you don't hurt anyone, kids, and floss.
Yeah.
We've got time for just a few more questions, so do keep your questions coming in thick and fast. A few people asked earlier, I don't know if there's any truth in this, Stephen, in a recent interview that you hinted at a secret crush for Nadine from Girls Aloud. Any truth in that?
I was being flippant. I'm a fan of all Girls Aloud.
Who is it?
Even the ginger one.
Yeah.
No, she's,
Well, don't say even. There's probably ginger.
No, I didn't mean that. I mean, and including the ginger one. No, it's just I got very ginger beard, and obviously, you want two ginger people get together. You can have ginger offspring, who might inevitably be bullied. So you've got to be careful. You've always got to think this thing through. But, a girl's allowed is not just for one night, all right? They're for life.
You know, Karl said he thinks, it's actually only in England where that happens.
I know,
in
it's
America,
weird,
they don't
isn't
get the jokes. Like, they quite rightly, they think, well, what's up? There's obviously nothing wrong with it. But Karl thinks that even ginger cats get bullied by other cats.
Why do you think it is that the ginger thing is?
I don't know. I thought it was... Isn't there a reference to the Bible or something?
Is there?
Wasn't
Judas was
wasn't
ginger?
Judas ginger?
No, what are you talking about? It's
Well,
the Middle East. They're not ginger people around there, are they?
Well, that's why he stood out like a sore thumb.
Clearly.
I have no idea why I said that. I don't know if that's true or not.
I wondered if it was something to do with the old Scottish-English rivalry. And obviously, all Scottish people are sort of, ginger-haired. I wondered if that was anything to do with that. Maybe one of these MySpacers will let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you can. Someone asked earlier, Stephen, has Ricky let fame go to his head? Does he only hang out with A-listers these days?
People often say to me, has Ricky changed since he got famous? No, he was always a cunt. What advice, Rick, would you give to people who want to get into the business?
Don't. do something useful. Train to be a doctor or a lawyer.
When was the first moment that you thought, I'm famous? Because you were on the 11 o'clock show. That was the first time I saw you.
I was always worried about that. I was always worried about the word that didn't want to be lumped in with those people who do anything to be famous, just live their life like an open wound. Fame per se is nothing and largely pointless, and it usually only has detrimental effects, to be honest, But I suppose I knew I was a face. I mean, the first time someone asks you your autograph, you think, oh, but that, I think everyone's famous to that degree these days. I suppose winning the Golden Globes was the freakiest because that made the real news, not just the entertainment news. It was on front covers of... That was a bit weird. And I was glad I wasn't here when that happened. I was still in America, I was doing some work, but I think the important thing is know what you're doing it for. If you're doing it to chase fame, well, then you can do anything, really. You can do horrendous things to be famous. There's no difference between fame and infamy if that's all you want. But I think you've got to love what you're doing. You've got to know why you're doing it. And we do it for the work and the creative process. And fame is an upshot of what we do. If you're an actor and you're a successful actor, then you're probably famous. But that shouldn't be the driving force. And I'm probably much prouder of being a writer and a director than I am an actor in many ways. But it all comes as a package, really. And joking aside, the advice would be try and control your own destiny, own your own labour, be in charge, walk away if it's not right. Don't compromise. Don't think, if I compromise 1,000 times, then I'll get something I'm good at. Because those things stay with you and they stay around, they hang around. There's no rush either. Don't think you have to be famous by 23 or it's all over. Unless you're in a boy band, that's just simply not true. And find your own voice and do something you're passionate about. Don't do anything for the sake of it. Do something that you want to get off your chest. That's what I'd say. Steve, anything to add to that?
Well, I just want to ask you a question from Jensen's Beard. Have you ever thought about having a facelift?
No. I don't even like going to the doctors when I'm seriously ill. So the point of voluntarily going under the knife where you might die because your face is saggy, well, that's age, that's gravity. I mean, it's crazy. These people that have these things that have ribs out and, just unbelievable. Who cares?
Do you remember that story, which is obviously a myth, about Prince having ribs removed so he could suck his own? Yeah. Why are you looking sheepish? It's not something you're considering?
No, I'm just worried about you've just said.
Well, it's obviously nonsense.
That's good.
It's patently nonsense, isn't it?
Can he not suck his own?
Sure.
No, probably not.
Ribs are in the way.
You know what? Hobbob is on the Bobbler.
Oh, again?
He's on the chat and he's clarifying the ginger issue. He's saying red hair was thought to be a mark of beastly sexual desire and moral degeneration.
From when, though?
I don't know. He doesn't really.
The 1980s?
Yeah. Since Mick Hucknall. When, though? That's what we're...
Yeah, I've absolutely no idea. He doesn't really go any further than that. If you've got any more info for us, mate, do clarify it in the few minutes
Bob
we've got
Meister,
left.
sloppy.
All right, Australia. How's it going? Just letting you know that I've got a DVD out right now. It's out now, available to buy. It's called The Moaning of Life. And it's me travelling about the world, sort of trying to work out life's big questions. You know, stuff like marriage and is it all worth it? What's the point? Kids, why do people have them? Happiness, how are you meant to get it? Death, what you're worried about? It's those sort of questions. So they wanted me to sort of reference Australia a lot, to sort of make it seem like I've gone out of my way to do something special for you, but I don't know much about the place. What else did they say about you? That's always confused me. They say that you're down under. Australia, you're going down under. The way I look at it is, the world is floating about in nothing, isn't it? It's just in the universe. So who's decided that you are down under? Makes you think, doesn't it? How do you know? How do you know that you're down under? You could be up over. You could be right at the top. Because if you think about it, it's hot where you are, which means, you know, if you think about it, heat rises, doesn't it? So if heat rises, you're at the top. So it's up. It should be up over. You're coming up over, not down under. Just a thought. I've had that thought for ages. I had no one to tell, but now I'm talking to Australians. I just thought I'd run it by you. But it's thoughts like that are on this DVD. Life's big issues. You know, is it up over? Is it down under? It's just a question, isn't it? I'm running out of ideas to try and sort of theme this around Australia. I just, you know, at the end of the day, I've got a DVD out. The Moaning of Life. It's out now. Look out for it.
A mate sent me a story on email about a bloke in China who has this weird illness that means he can't have his picture taken. That's not the weird bit. If he tries, his body doesn't appear in the photo.
Don't talk shit.
He has had group pictures taken and everyone appeared apart from him.
Don't talk shit.
The
That's
story
bollocks.
had a picture next to it of a family photo and it said he was stood at the back, but you couldn't see him.
Right, he wasn't in the picture.
He was in the picture.
No, he wasn't in the picture.
I've done loads of tests and stuff.
No,
on him.
I haven't done loads of tests. This is bollocks. There's no way this is scientifically possible. What's his want? Yeah, now he's wanted. Just a white bit of paper up on the police wall. Have you seen this man? What man? If you see him, tell us. You're talking shit.
Excuse me. I'm here to pick up a dwarf.
Oh, yeah. Drunk and disorderly and riding a children's tricycle down a dual carriageway.
Right. They can press charges.
No, if you're happy to take him into your custody.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Wait a second.
That's what I mean. As soon as they even think they're in a film, they're going to get wasted.
My name is Maximus Minimus, and I'll have my end away with your wife or the next.
We had to confiscate his sword.
I've got my own sword. My bog sword. Ha! Whoa!
He's thrown up over his own penis. You're not getting in my car smelling like that.
Don't need to. I've got my bike.
No, Pete, you can't go on the bike. Not again. No, whoa! Stop! Pete, stop! Oh. Don't go on the dual carriageway. Take the back roads. Just, what is he? Oh. How long's that going to take him to get home? Oh, no, he's off. Look, he's just flailing like a dung beetle. Oh, it's pathetic.
And don't worry, I don't say, oh, it's really bad. Just think she's 98. Let her have a nice rest of the life.
Yeah.
But instead, she was there, and the annoying thing was, and they do this with a lot of people in hospital, they pump you with drugs, try to sort it out. They don't, you know, there's probably a bit of guesswork going on. Maybe. A little bit.
Not as much as you, but go on.
Right? And because of that, they sort of break wind a lot. So I'm sat there with my dad talking.
Whoa.
Drugs do that, Steve. I'm sure if there's a doctor listening or a nurse, they will clarify that if they pump you with all sorts of stuff, it wants to come out.
Right.
So you're sat there having a serious chat. It's a quiet hospital. The woman next door with the blue hands suddenly starts seeping gas, right? Well, I start laughing, because if there's one thing that makes you laugh, it's that, innit?
It's a 98-year-old woman with blue hands farting.
So you try to hold it in because it's a really quiet hospital, and it'd be obvious that that I was laughing at, and I didn't want to be mean, but it was funny. And then it got me talking about my auntie, because my auntie Nora, she same thing, pumped her with loads of drugs. She used to have a cabinet next to the bed is like Boots. She's got loads of stuff, right, for all sorts of stuff. And I mean, she's not that old, but she's on loads of stuff, right?
She's a bit coked up, is she?
She called up my mum once. And,
yeah, you told us this. Go on, tell it again.
And she said, "Oh, how are you doing?" And that. She said, "All right." Bit worried though. My mum said, "Why? What's up?" She said, "I've been breaking wind." So she goes, "Well, you know." She says, "No, but this one is going on and on and on." And she was like, she was like, what do you say? What's like passing wind, farting for 5 minutes. one thing, not like, you know, trumping and then nothing.
Yeah.
Continuous
Drone of a fart.
Yeah.
I don't think she had... How big was she? She must have been the size of a barn.
No, she's not that big. She's, you know, she's good for her age.
No,
Quite
but I
slim
mean...
and that, quite slim.
No,
It's
but
just-
fighting for 5 minutes. Where's all the gas? Was she circular breathing? Was she sucking it in with her mouth?
It was just, I don't know that much about it. But she called up my mum. About 2.5 minutes in.
Could you hear it in the background?
2.5 minutes in!
2.5 minutes in, she called my mum up, and it went on for a further 2.5 minutes.
Oh.
And she just stayed on the phone, did she?
Where
The
was-
whole time, going,
well-
can you hear that?
Well,
Did she hold the phone next to her arse? Listen to that.
She was off the
I'm
ground.
trying to work a tune down.
she was actually hovering. She was 4 foot off the ground when they found her, the ambulance men.
The cat's dead.
Don't light a match! Don't light that cigarette!
Yeah, it's like that advert. The kids come home from school, switch on the light.
Yeah. There they see Granny hovering, turn the light on.
Be careful if you have an elderly woman at home.
Yeah. Drugs make you fart.
so it was last week when there was a little bit of confusion over the one for Holly Valance.
Of
right?
course. I don't think it was confusion, I think it was your error.
No, it wasn't.
And it was
because-
Holy Valance and you meant Pelmet.
Then Becky, who called up that time and said, "Oh, if you're getting mistaken with Pelmet," right? She sent me an email in a week saying, "I've done a bit of research. It was my fault. I've made an error. It is a Valance."
Okay.
And I know about Valances, as I told you last week at the very end. My auntie loves them.
Yeah.
Right? She makes them. She started off just like putting them on top of the sort of window around the curtain. And then she thought, "Oh, I can do more with this." And she had a little coffee table that had magazines underneath, and she said, "I'm sick of seeing them magazines when I'm sat down."
She sounds like a Pilkington.
So
I'm sick of seeing the magazines when I sit down.
so she put a Valance round the table.
She just got Valences around everything now.
Then, next step, she tapes everything. She never actually watches telly. She tapes it all because she gets sick of listening to the adverts and that. So she tapes everything. So she's got loads of videotapes and that. And the video used to get on her nerves. When she was watching a film, she'd see the clock changing.
Oh.
And it distracted her from the film, so she put a Valance round that.
That's genius!
Yeah.
So,
That is
Or is it mental?
Only
Mrs. Einstein can tell
I
us.
don't know. She's even made her little Jack Russell look like a hovercraft.
Yeah.
if you
It's
stand still,
great.
that's
So
it.
everything's got a Valance.
If you go round and you stand still for too long, the chances are you'll get a Valance around your head.
Yeah.
This is this is Auntie Who,
Auntie Nora.
and this is the one that farted for 5 minutes.
She did.
Lest our listeners forget.
Lest we
farted
forget.
for 5 minutes. Called his mum, saying I'm farting. 2 minutes into the fart.
She said about 2.5 minutes in.
Yeah. God.
She said I'm about 2.5 minutes into
Well,
the
my
fart.
mum said, "How long's it been going on for?" She said, "Well, it was about 2.5 minutes before I called you."
Yeah.
And then it went on for a further 2.5 minutes or something. And then it stopped. And,
She couldn't time it because there was a Valance over the clock.
Yeah, she
because it used to
couldn't
annoy
time
her
it,
when she was
yeah.
on the phone and you put her off seeing
So
the time.
it was
she was
consi-
guessing it was 5 minutes.
This was one consistent fart.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't making a noise, it was just...
Oh, it wasn't making a noise.
Just gas.
Right, endless gas.
So, there you
That's
go.
fantastic. I'm so
Well,
sorry.
it's like, right, listen, when I was a kid, right, and it's alright for you to go into women's toilets when you're a kid, it's like, oh, it's a bit cute, right, as long as you're not, like, over 15 or something, right?
Right.
But when I was a kid, I went into a toilet, and women, when they use their little cubicles, they don't shut the door. Some of them just sit down on the toilet,
Yeah.
right? and you see everything. And, no, seriously, that's probably one of the first times I saw, like, a woman.
Yeah.
That, right, and my Auntie Nora when she was staying over.
What happened with your Auntie Nora?
She was, she's into wearing caftans.
Into wearing what?
You know, caftans.
Oh, yeah.
What caftans?
Big, bellowy sort of dresses.
Right.
And, yeah, I used to sit on the floor at home in front of the telly.
Sure.
She was on the chair behind.
Yeah.
She did a bit of a sort of a Sharon Stone scene.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
There was no underwear?
No.
What age were you?
What was it like?
What age were you?
It was like a ripped tennis ball. So.
What? Right, we're off air. We're off air. Either that or put us in for the Sonys.
No, because I read it and kind of started having sort of memories of Auntie Nora again.
Yeah.
Because she used to always, like...
now, Auntie Nora is the woman
who farted for 5 minutes.
She had wind for 5 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But she also, she used to say, oh, Carl, rub me back. Right. And, with her being quite old, it was all sort of mouldy and warty.
It was mouldy?
No,
mouldy.
Mouldy. Right.
And what did you do?
I didn't like it. I hated it, in
It
fact.
was like reading a braille book.
Yeah.
It was like putting your hand in a load of Cocoa Pops.
Oh, dear.
All really big brown things. And I just thought framing hers would be sort of 3D-ish.
Oh, right. Yeah. What's that, a chunk of the moon? No.
Yeah. Did you Artex that wall?
Yeah.
No,
That's Auntie Nora.
That's Auntie Nora's back. Oh, God.
Any piece of your body can't you leave behind?
That's disgusting. Putting your hand in some... Is she the one with the split tennis ball when she wasn't wearing knickers?
Shut up.
What?
No, let's not discuss the tennis ball.
Okay.
So she used to get you to sort of knead her dough on her back.
God, this is really bad.
But like, what would she with her dress or whatever? Or
she wore those sort of squid-looking things. Like
sorry, what?
What? Those squid-looking.
That's Auntie Nora coveling octopuses. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
It's like a nightgown type thing. But
what's squid got to do with it?
Because they sort of look like a squid around the edge.
Oh, I know, frilly things. Yeah.
And she just said, I'm aching there. Oh. She was never well. She was never. Do you know what I mean? She's always had something wrong with her. I don't ask her how she is. It's just like she's not going to be all right.
Did she have wind when you were sort of neat? It must have been like playing an accordion.
Yeah, get a little tune going.
Wow. Oh, who's your auntie with the tattoos?
That's Hazel.
Oh right, yeah.
Let's leave that.
Why?
Oh, let's
Why?
not talk about
Leave it. What have I come across there?
What's up with Auntie Hazel?
What's up with Auntie Hazel?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a
what?
Just a lesbian, which is nothing wrong with that.
Well, no, but you've made it sound like there is now by not wanting to say it. My aunt is a lesbian.
I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're getting at. Just because I call her Uncle Hazel.
Play a record.
He's from Manchester. Please forgive him.
Carl's back. He's cheering up a little bit because I think he's vented his spleen a little bit on cities around the world that aren't as good as Manchester. So, is any of your family left in Manchester? Because they all moved away, didn't they? You came here. Your dad's moved to Wales, for Christ's sake. Well, your family are all around the... Brother joined the army to get anywhere. Just take me anywhere.
We don't know where he is.
His sister's moved away, so no
Ireland,
one... Yeah, there you go, you see? So, that's just one family. That's one family who love Manchester.
Exactly.
Alright?
Tell you what, Steve.
Go on.
I did find out in the week.
Yeah.
World record, right? Person with the longest trump.
With the longest what?
Wind. Fart.
Right.
Right? 2 minutes 42 is the world record.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I'm immediately thinking about a relative of yours who I'm sure did longer than that.
Who still lives in Manchester.
Auntie Nora.
Now, Auntie Nora did it for 5 minutes, wasn't it?
Starfighter for 5 minutes. But, unfortunately, she was the only person in the room. Whereas I think... Which one's alive? Ross or Norris McWhirter?
I don't know, actually.
He has to be there.
Yeah, I think he actually has to
He'd have to be there.
Would he want to be there?
Well, he'd have sort of equipment, and looking at his watch, going, finish? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, that was 4 minutes,
Did she go from like a size 10 to a size 6? Did she show some old dresses?
Like a hovercraft.
Exactly.
In a big dress.
Yeah.
Just slightly off. Yeah.
So it has to be invigilated.
But again, you know, how was the Guinness Book of World Records one invigilated? I mean, who was supervising that? Who was
He
monitoring
said,
that?
I can fart for 2 minutes. They went, well, we've got to see this. Went round, and he just probably let it rip. It's probably circular breathing. He's probably sort of sucking in air and swallowing it as he's going. And it's a continuous one, isn't it? It's not like... Yeah.
I mean, it said, you know, that's how Nora's happened. Me Auntie Nora. She had a little bit of wind. It went on for like 2.5 minutes.
Sure.
That's when she called me mum.
As it was still going on.
And said, there's something not right here.
I'm leaking.
She said, oh, can you send your dad round? You know, my dad.
Yeah.
Sent to me mum.
With a cork.
And,
with a lighter. Yeah. I think this would be the best one
I
ever.
want to show the kids something.
He said, I'll be there in a bit, get the windows open. But what it was down to, because I was talking to
Is
my
she
mum
the
and
one
dad
with the
about
split tennis ball?
Yeah.
Can we not talk about that again?
I was talking to my mum and dad about it, saying, you know, why do you think it happened and that? And it's because she never chucks food away, right? And she'll sort of mash it all up. And she's got all these ice cream tubs in the fridge that are just full
Cabbage
of, like,
water.
old, mashed up food.
Really?
And she prepares everything. Right, she doesn't work, she's retired now, she's got nothing to do all day, but everything's got to be ready
Still
for
calls
her.
in sick.
Do you know what I mean? Everything's got to be done. Even though, if you're going round to her house, and you're going there for tea, it's like, what time are you coming? And it's like, well, I don't know, maybe 5, maybe 6.
Yeah, you're late, because you're late when you have to meet us at 5 or 6.
Do you know what I mean? That's
But
what...
so, when you say she mashes up food, she literally takes the remnants of a dinner, could be sort of some...
Anything.
And just smashes it all up into a...
Yeah.
And then what does she do with it?
Put it in the fridge, and she's got it in the fridge, it's like January, February, March, she's got all these ice cream boxes that are just full of...
But she doesn't... She reheats it and eats it.
Oh, then she, yeah, puts it in a
she was
pan.
just keeping it as a
No,
souvenir
no.
of each meal she'd had.
No, put it in a pan, warm it up.
Oh,
and that's what it is, it's just...
A lot of vegetation, is it?
Yeah.
Why has it only happened once, or does she save it up once a year, just let it go?
I don't know. But she is mad, she's...
Yeah, she sounds potty.
She doesn't answer the phone anymore in case there's a burglar. Checking if she's in. It's like, well, answer it and then they'll know you are in and they won't come round.
Yeah.
Mental.
Well,
Mental.
they can't be sure then, can they?
What do you mean?
Well, if there's no, okay, well, maybe it's someone just... They are in, but they're hiding, whereas if Auntie Nora goes, it's Auntie Nora. We can she'll be farting. We can sneak in when she does a loud one. Because we'll be aware of the telly, what's stopping it? It's got a valance round it, it's got caught on the cat. Alright, Carl's had a bad week. I'm gonna say it straight away. He tries to rule out stress in his life.
Yeah.
But he's had a bit too much stress this week, haven't you? One, a phone call from his mum, stressed him a little bit.
Right.
Something he said in a magazine about his auntie.
Okay.
Came back to haunt him.
Auntie Nora?
Auntie Nora, yeah.
Don't name her.
Oh,
She
no,
knows
don't
who
name
she
her.
is.
No. Okay, we won't name her, right? We'll just say it's the one who farted for 5 minutes and as he saw a skirt when he was young and found it like a split tennis
So
ball.
it could be any of me aunties.
So other stressful things.
But, so anyway, what's the Auntie Nora thing? Sorry, Auntie X.
Auntie X.
What did she...
Yeah.
Why is she upset?
Well, he mentioned her in Zoo. He did this thing for Zoo magazine, and he mentioned about when he looked up her dress. She had a...
Yeah, by accident, remember?
I'm not suggesting you were going around looking up your elderly relatives' dresses in case they weren't wearing...
For people who've not heard Karl talk about this in the past,
Yeah.
just explain quickly again what we're talking about.
Right.
He didn't want to talk about it at all.
When I was a kid, right, Auntie Nora used to come round. Me auntie used to come round.
As if there's any ambiguity now. Yeah.
My auntie used to come round and stay, right? And I'm sat on the floor watching the telly, right? She's sat on the sofa with a caftan on. I turn round, right, and it was there.
It was looking back
at me, right? And we've mentioned this, and Ricky sort of said, what did it look like? And, you know, a split tennis ball came to mind. That's what we talked about, right? So anyway, Zoo magazine, when they did the interview...
And she's the one that used to put a valance on everything, isn't it?
Well, not everything, obviously. So anyway, so I've done this...
So you did an interview in Zoo.
Yeah, and like they said, you know, it was like, you know, do you plan stuff and do you worry about stuff when, after you've done the show, you're worried you've upset anyone? And, you know, I was saying, really, I forget people are listening. And, you know, we're just having a chat with mates and that. I said, but now and again, I do worry, when I'm on my way home from the show and that, and I'm thinking about what we've talked about, and I was saying, you know, the Auntie Nora incident.
Yeah. Incident! Watergate!
Yeah.
And, anyway, so this was in there, right? And I was saying in the magazine, you know, but I think I got away with it. She doesn't listen to the show, but, you know, and I don't think she reads Zoo magazine, so...
She's more of a nuts woman. Sure, yeah.
So, anyway, so my mum calls up the other week, right, and she goes, wish you wouldn't, you know, talk about Auntie Nora and that. And, I was like, oh, so how do you know about that? She goes, well, one of your cousins have called us up and said they've read the article about it. So yeah, that's why we don't want to talk about it, really.
So he stitched you up.
So do you know what Auntie X has made of this? Do you know if she was upset or not?
Well, she doesn't know about it.
Because, I mean, maybe she's always thought it looked like a split tennis ball. Maybe you're just in sync, you know, because you're relatives and stuff. Maybe she knew instantly. Even if you hadn't named her, she'd have thought, hang on, I farted for 5 minutes once.
Yeah, that's not gonna be ambiguous,
could well
is it?
be me.
If you hear like someone who farted for 5 minutes and's got found like a split tennis ball, you're gonna go, I wonder if he means me.
Yeah.
You're gonna remember
or
that.
Auntie Jackie. It could be Auntie Jackie.
Oh, God.
Oh, chimpanzee, that is running it down again!
Yeah, this is where we read extracts from Kyle's diary. We've had to wrestle it from him. He's never happy, but, you know, that's the way it goes when you're doing, a show as popular as this. And I'm going straight now to this entry. My mam phoned and said that my Auntie Nora, classic Auntie Nora, wanted me to look on the internet to find out what the weather would be like in Spain at the end of November. I don't know where she gets her money from. 2 months ago, she was asking me dad how much it would be to get her back garden astroturfed, because she's sick and tired of the grass getting out of
What does
hand.
she want to do? Start a football team? What does she want a back garden astroturf?
She likes the sort of green look, but she doesn't like the headache that comes with it, so she's just looking into getting that false grass put in there.
Brilliant.
Don't know how much it is.
They always say when you get someone a present, you should buy them something they wouldn't buy themselves. Daft rule. I want something I would buy myself if I had the money. When I was young, me Auntie Nora got me a present I wouldn't buy myself. It was a t-shirt with her face on.
Yeah, it's too easy. I tell you something I do know.
Go on.
Right? But I can't really get a question out of it.
Go on, just tell us.
There's a shadow somewhere.
It's already good, isn't it?
I'm loving it already.
No, right, there's a shadow, I think it was in America,
Yeah.
and it's on a quiet road. I'm guessing somewhere like Boston, that's what I imagine.
Okay,
Right.
no.
Somewhere like Boston, and people at night used to see this shadow moving about, and they'd go, what's that? Right? And it got known, the little local town got known for this shadow, but it didn't cause any problems. People
What are you
used to-
talking about?
Well, it was like,
Just, you've lost me.
What are you talking
no,
about?
do you know, like, some places get famous, like, Scotland's got the Loch Ness Monster and that, but it doesn't
go
cause
on,
any,
yeah.
but it doesn't cause any problems.
Doesn't exist, go on.
Right, so there's this shadow walking about on the road.
What do you mean? No, what's he, again? Rubbish.
Right, so it's walking
Nonsense.
about,
Where did you read this? Where did you
it's
see
walking
this?
about, this was on the internet, and I'm
Oh,
sure...
sorry! Sorry! I thought it was shite. I didn't know it was on the internet.
Right, so this shadow is moving about, and,
Independently of an object.
yeah, and the local mayor and that is like, yeah, it's a bit weird, but it's not harming anyone.
The mayor involved!
Was he elected to that post?
Hey, Mayor, we got a problem down here. Seems like a shadow. Well, it's not causing any work. No, it's
Is it
just...
causing any problems?
Yeah, go on.
But that's the thing, it was left for years, and then it did start causing problems.
I see, that's it. If you leave these shadows to go unchecked, Rick, they go crazy.
Yeah.
You let them run amok in the city.
Yeah.
You've got to stand
What
around
did it do?
on
What did it
Roman
do?
shadows.
What did the shadow do?
It was pushing people off the bikes.
It was what?
It was pushing people off the bikes.
Oh!
I'll find out more for that next week. Right, that'll tease
Oh,
them.
you're a maniac!
We'll do more on that. We haven't had time for educating.
Please never have children.
Right, listen.
You are
Just promise me now you'll never have kids.
We haven't got time now
Okay,
for-
listen, alright, DJ Shadow, have we got time for the...
It
How did you meet your girlfriend?
Through work.
What, through her work? What, you found out and said
We worked at the same place.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're quite an enigma, aren't you? Could you give us more on that?
At work, you met her at work. What, she came in selling sandwiches? She was going through the bins outside. What do you mean you met her
Why
at
are you
work?
having an attack on me? You're the one who's sad and lonely.
Oh, he's done you again. He's done you
Yeah, but what I thought was interesting was I just scratched at him and he just went mental.
Yeah, no,
it's like a
but
bear caught in a trap.
It's funny, isn't it? You'll never learn.
No, I was just interested to find out what the story was, because it might be a really romantic story.
Well, it's not.
All right, jeez. I love the fact he doesn't want to talk about his love affair.
I was thinking about you in the week, and like, does it worry you? I mean, you sort of joke about it now, and we're talking about it in the office, you know, like, oh, is Steve really touchy about the way he looks? And
oh, what's this? Where's that come from?
He's done it again. He's done you again.
I was walking home the other night, and I was thinking about it. And do you worry that when you're old, you will be on your own?
You did start it though, didn't you?
Well, Carl, I'm glad you brought this up. because I mean, for me, you know, a lightweight, frothy entertainment show on XFM on a Saturday afternoon is exactly the place where I want to discuss the desperate, lonely future that's inevitably coming my way.
Oh, God. Can you stay to the end this week, mate? Or
Yeah.
Yeah? You don't need another holiday.
Oh, he's started already.
I mean,
Steve's made you look like a bit of a twat already, and it's only 1:05.
But the only reason you don't go on holiday is because you have to spend money.
Oh, and he's come straight back.
Well,
he's come straight back.
I can't come back to that.
Oh,
it's just dynamite.
What do you think, Carl?
Every week he has a go at me anyway.
What are you having a go at you? You're having a go at me every week.
3 weeks.
What?
You've been having a go at me.
I have not had a go. You've always had a go at me.
You've always said to me, what do I look like? And what do you expect me to do? Lie?
Oh, he's done you again, Steve.
No, I'm not getting into this.
He's done you
One
again.
lad called up before and said, oh, have a go at Steve again, these looks. And it's not like a game. I'm not like coming in here every week and wanting to make you look, you know, come across as an ugly bloke. I don't need to do that.
He's done you up.
I can't.
He's done you
Is this
up.
because of the Gaylord stuff?
No, it's
That you're
just,
having a go at me again?
Oh.
it's just that you had a go at me before.
I didn't have
was
a go
having
at you at all. I was talking to Ricky. I haven't had a word. I haven't spoken a word
It's
to
in
you.
your eyes.
Hey there, welcome to the Drawing Codex. In this video I want to do a simple drawing lesson covering one thing. How do we draw the figure from different angles? How do we draw it from above, from below, etc.? This is one of the biggest challenges that faces the artist at the outset, and even when you're well into your artistic journey, it can be a real stumbling block. And what I want to do is give you a few really simple exercises and ways to think about this so that you can practice. Now, obviously, this is something that relies on a lot of foundational perspective, and there's a lot of moving parts here, but I think there's a couple of key concepts that you can apply straight away, even if you haven't fully fleshed out your drawing foundation, even if your perspective is not 100%. I think there's a lot of things that you can take away and start practicing to make sure that your figures look as if they're grounded. Anyway, let's jump in and get started. Alright, welcome again to the Drawing Codex. My name's Tim McBurney. I've been a professional working artist for over 20 years, and on this channel we're all about drawing cool stuff from our imagination, embracing the challenge of drawing, and mastering the craft of line and color illustration. If you want to learn more about line and color illustration, you can check out my free Quick Start Guide. It gives you my basic advice for how to get up and running quickly in Photoshop with a line and color style. I go over how to build a simple, reliable process in Photoshop, and I give you my tips for going from thumbnail to the finished image. I also give you all the brushes and all the basic stuff you need to get up and started with the line and color style. This is where we create worlds with simple line and color. So it's not like there's a lack of information on these ideas of how to draw the figure from different angles. The basic idea, as should be pretty obvious, is that we combine the simple idea of taking a mannequin, of taking a stick figure, and then we basically just rotate it in space. The problem is that's easier said than done, and it's hard to know how to approach it. In the same way, you can read Andrew Loomis's book, Figure Drawing for All It's Worth, which is great, and it has a lot of information there. But again, I think the challenge for me when I was figuring out how to do a lot of this is, what do I start with, and how do I actually make that apply not just to the standard human anatomy, but maybe how do we make it apply to more cartoony things as well? I think what I want to do is, again, try those two dual concepts. One is, again, how do we draw the standard mannequin, but also maybe something a lot more cartoony may also help us to understand how this functions, so I can demonstrate that to you. But basically what I want to try and do is give you a simple exercise that you can go away and either follow along with me or take with you and just practice in your sketchbook as you go. Now, this is one of those concepts that I think is really important. And when I was starting out, again, I'd have ideas and they'd often be stifled by the fact that I couldn't draw characters from all sorts of different angles. And it took me a long time to really figure out, how to do that. But I think it's important to note that often when we are drawing things that, you don't always have to draw things from crazy angles. Not everything has to be some ridiculous, amazing angle, where you're drawing stuff from a crazy, sort of action pose where there's a million characters. You can see, right, like this panel here is a little bit like that. There's tons of characters, they're all fighting, camera's low. That's important. That's a little bit different to what I want to do. And again, in this exercise, because in order to do that, you kind of have to begin with the basics. You sort of have to really understand the simple way that perspective and boxes and box sort of logic or theory relates to the figure. And this is actually a really good way, just practicing drawing that mannequin and that figure from different angles. It's a really good way to understand the concepts of proportion and structure and just how you actually go about building something that kind of looks solid but is viewed from an angle that is maybe more interesting or exciting. Anyway, I don't want to go on for too long because I think you get the basic idea of where we're going with this. Let's jump over to the drawing table and get started. All right, here we are at the drawing table. Now, as I said, in most cases when you're drawing comics, you are working within a fairly limited framework of poses and things that you need to create, that you need to kind of make real from your imagination or from the script. in most cases, I think what you'll find is that you don't always have to draw a lot of these heavy down angle shots, right? It just doesn't often make sense. When you do, it's really, really important. But if we think about often, you know, if I take the basic idea of creating a Loomis stick figure mannequin, and if you're new to the channel and you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, there's a lot of other videos that I have on the channel talking about the concepts of creating a mannequin and drawing solidly, and I'll link to a few of the basic ones in the description. So check that out if you might get a little bit lost with exactly what I'm talking about here. But the basic idea, as you may know if you've looked at these concepts before, is that we basically just draw a stick figure. Now, you can think about the basic idea here being that maybe you might have a panel where there's a few characters, right, and they're talking. So there's lots of situations where you might want to frame a panel or an illustration or whatever you want to do, right? You might have lots of reasons. So again, I'm just kind of winging this a little bit, not being that technical with it, just for illustrative purposes. All right, but again, you might have some people talking to each other in a panel, and you need to do this kind of down shot. Now, that's useful, but in my experience, most of the time what you want to do is see faces and make sure that the posing is sort of clear. And this is quite a disassociated shot, and you may have a lot of stories and a lot of ideas that involve this basic concept of, hey, we're looking down at a scene. All right, again, there might be more characters over here. Right, again, just roughly transferring, right, some of those ideas. Oh, that one's getting a little bit out of whack. But again, you know, there might be a whole crowd full of people, right? And now, if you don't know what you're doing, this type of scene is just an absolute unmitigated nightmare to execute on. So it is really, really important to kind of understand your basic perspective and all of that stuff. It'll really, really make your life a lot easier, and it'll make these kind of things a lot more fun. In most cases, though, I do want to point out, because I think it is super important to remember that in most cases, we're just dealing with minor variations, with minor tilts. So, and this is just my experience, but again, this is just practical advice if you're thinking about this. Often this is the thing that terrifies me, right? I wake up in a cold sweat as a young artist, sort of thinking about, please don't make me draw this kind of scene because it's just too hard. But what I found in most cases is that, yeah, there's a couple of things, right? You can see this scene is a little bit like that. We've got a few characters kind of from above. But the idea of having to draw extensive scenes where, you know, there's all these sort of dynamic angles, maybe in superhero comics there might be a little bit more of that. But in most cases we're dealing with looking at faces and fairly simple shots, which is very, very similar to what you would look at in a film. We're often choosing shots for clarity so we can read the character's face. Again, in comics or similarly in an illustration, you kind of want to see the character's face. You want to see them fairly straight on. And I think in most cases, this sort of thing is not actually what you spend most of your time doing. And certainly if you're doing illustrations, primarily often what we're talking about from a compositional standpoint is, you know, it's frequently involving characters who are pretty front on. You know, if you deal with your classic sort of pin-up character, right, it basically is some form of this. Now, it might involve a lot of twisting of the figure, but not a lot of this need to make it grounded and draw it from different angles. But I feel like this idea of just learning how do we draw the figure like this, and then how do we do the opposite of that, which is draw it from below, right? Go here, same stick figure idea, boom, boom. Right, got a head there, right? And then we're going to have arm here, right? Something like this. And again, you can continue the basic concept as you go, right? If we want to do that from the back, very, very simple, right? We just sort of flip the character around, right? And then we're drawing this. So I'm just going to be putting in rough perspective to illustrate what I need, and this is typically what I would do for myself. And I'm just illustrating the different options here. So we will get to some actual exercises, and I'll talk specifically about what I'm doing and how you can pull some concepts from books like the Loomis books or other sort of how to draw books and sort of actually try and get your head around this basic concept. But again, you know, we do it from the back. It's the same thing. Right. So here the face is like this. Right here it's from the back. And the difference really is just what does that arc of the spine look like, and how do these limbs tend to bend, right, as a very sort of rough basic idea. So again, these are a little bit from above and, you know, below. These ones are a little bit more. The basic concept is the same. Again, the reason that you would have you know, some need to draw like a really kind of worm's eye view of something like this, I don't know why you would need to do that, but say you did. Again, it's going to be a very similar concept, right? Feet are going to be on the ground, shoulders are going to be somewhere here, right? Head is going to be up there. We're going to have some arms here. Right. So again, sorry that guys got a little bit squished, but again, it's the same idea. It's just a matter of how much exaggeration is there on this perspective grid, if that makes sense. Let's see if we can do better on that head. All right. See if we can find the form of that torso a little bit. Head goes there. Yeah, might look, that's a little bit better. But it's all the same idea. What we're doing is we're taking the basic concept of a skeleton or a mannequin or a stick figure, and we're just drawing it from different angles. As I said, the problem is that's its own challenge, and that really is what I want to talk about in this lesson and show you is how do we combine the concepts of box logic or drawing simple geoforms, which again is very, very much linked to this, and how do we find some exercises and things you can do so you can jump in and start practicing this. All right, so if we look at the pages that you might find in a traditional drawing book that are going to be related to this concept, it's often at the beginning, and it's where we link up concepts of perspective. So you can see here some great illustrations of how the concepts of proportion and perspective and just lining things up are going to work in 3 dimensions. So this is really what we're dealing with, is the idea that if we understand the basic proportions of the mannequin, which you can find in some of the additional videos I've got that I'll link below so you can check those out. But again, I'll go over them super quickly in this video so you can just jump in if you need. And then it's just simply a matter of understanding how perspective works. A lot of it does involve this simple concept of thinking of a plane and how we derive some simple proportion from that plane. All right, so the task is pretty simple. What we need to do and what is good to practice is just practice drawing space or a line that your character is going to occupy. And what we want to do is find these proportional markers. The one that I think is the most important to find, and the one that you can practice finding, is the halfway mark. And that essentially is going to divide the character around about the bottom of the pelvis or at the crotch area. This will also line up with the base of the hand. And this is a really, really important marker because, again, it basically divides the legs from the top of the figure. And this really is one of the major things that you're trying to do. So what you can practice doing is drawing that character in 2 dimensions. And then you can practice drawing them in 3 dimensions. Now, once you get a feel for the proportional division, it's a lot easier to add dimension. So if we, and again, I'm just going to be fairly rough with this, so apologies if some of these lines don't match up. I won't do this with a ruler because it's a little bit easier to just kind of see when we're doing it by hand, but some of these lines might not match up. The more accurate you can be with this, the better, and I'd say if you study your basic perspective with a ruler, it'll really help you to make sure you're not making errors based on simple errors of the hand, let's say. But either way, it's important to understand how accurate you need to be with these lines. So even if you're not using a ruler, you have to understand how likely are you to gauge proportion in 2 dimensions. If you're having trouble doing it in 2 dimensions, then it's very tricky for you to just magically turn that into 3 dimensions. So just remember that. The first thing we're going to do is just figure out how do we draw that character in 2 dimensions, and we're going to divide the mannequin up into 1 proportion and 2 proportions. As I said, basically dividing the character at halfway and that sort of crotch area, right? So we've got something like this. Now, as I said, I've got more videos that talk about this in detail. But this should illustrate the basic point. So what we need to find is these set of proportions. We got 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top. And we use these to define essentially where the head is going to go up top, where the top of the shoulders are going to go, and where the sort of normally this line is a really good line for where the breasts or the nipples are going to sort of go, again halfway up the arm. And this bottom of this 3rd marker is where you're going to have your navel and the bottom of the elbow. Down below, we're going to again divide this 2nd proportion in half, and we've got 1, 2. The top is going to be the top of the legs, and the 2nd one is the bottom of the legs. We've got some feet down here. We then know that the hand is probably going to come a little bit above the knee, normally 1 hand length above the knee, somewhere again around there. And that's the simple 2-dimensional proportion. Again, what we're doing is just making a stick figure out of this concept here. So this is where just, potentially copying these things or studying these or having some, you print out a version of this on your, computer or something like that, print it out, stick it up on the wall. It really helps to kind of make sure this stuff is fully imprinted into your memory. So it's important here that we find this halfway point. This division is really, really going to help. And again, you can fully study the figure, you can fully study all of these, but this is really the first exercise that I think you should apply. And this is the primary exercise that I think will really, really help you to just understand how to draw the figure from different angles. So in this case, if we transfer that proportion, right, so I'm sort of drawing it as a plane here, but this is just roughly to kind of illustrate things. Now I can guesstimate roughly where halfway up there is. But this is what we're dealing with when, all right, we can divide that up. All right, we can divide that up. This is where thinking about those proportions in 2D will help us in 3D. So you can see that if I find the midpoint, then it's very easy for me to roughly guesstimate where these other 1, 2, 3, 4 proportions are going to be. In the same way, it's going to be a lot easier for me to now guesstimate where these feet and legs are going to be. That is the baseline. And if we think about essentially repeating this concept again and again, it's just a matter of getting to a point where you line all of these things up. Now, obviously, this changes as you pose the figure differently, as you move things around, as the character moves. But if you're thinking about how to get your head around this in the beginning, this is where you start. And I think that can be one of the biggest challenges with this overall exercise, is just understanding what is actually going to teach you how to get better at this. It often is this simpler exercise where you're just thinking about, okay, let's make sure I can control proportion as I just adjust the figure and draw it from a slightly different angle, right? So if we take a simple, got a little sort of toy here that'll sort of help us understand this, just start by rotating the figure a little bit, right? Just start by trying to draw it from a little bit of an angle there, and then maybe you can draw it from an angle that's slightly below, and then you can maybe try draw it from behind, etc., etc. Just ratchet up the complexity a little bit by bit. That's one of the things that will really, really help you. This is where it all happens, at that halfway point. So what you can do is just practice the idea of how do you divide up that space. So what we're doing is essentially taking the fundamental principle of perspective here, that is the one you take away. And that is that we can apply whatever is possible with two-dimensional geometry to three-dimensional perspective, as long as we have a good idea where the vanishing points are and where the essential grid is. All right, so we've got a grid, boom, boom. So I can do the same thing here because these corners don't move in two-dimensional space, and I can draw a line between them, and then I know how to divide up that space. So this is the fundamental concept of perspective that will help you to initially gauge that proportion. So we can think about this, right? If we have like a lot of extreme exaggeration, we still can find halfway up. And it's this experimentation with this basic concept that will teach you a lot about how to change the camera angle. Now, behind this is the concept of the perspective grid, which I think is its own challenge. And this is where what we can try and do is understand the basic takeaways that we're going to get from perspective as it relates to the figure. But if you have to understand that there's a point at which you need to go away and learn perspective properly if you want to really, really get stuck into this. But the fundamental thing that will help you understand it is the box logic, or just viewing the box that surrounds your space. You've probably seen a lot of people talk about this, and there's a lot of discussion about this as being important for your drawing, to understand the grids and the simple idea of three-dimensional space. So this is like a perspective grid. It's a sense that all these lines are heading towards a vanishing point. And again, I'm just being very rough. Now, what we're trying to do here is increase our ability to visualize three-dimensional space around the character. And that's really all you have to do. What you have to do is imagine that as you rotate the cube, the figure rotates. As you rotate the figure, the cube rotates. And don't worry too much about the rest of perspective. Again, the more you can understand about it, the better. But at the outset, what we have to think about is just this simple concept of where these lines might be, and just make sure that as we line things up, things like our feet, things like our shoulders are lining up with each other. Now, again, that will change as the hands move, right? As the hand moves up, as we pose the character, obviously all of that changes. It's really important to start and again get your understanding of the initial perspective right though, because it's very easy to move things around once you get the character feeling as if they're solid. So the first part of the exercise is, as I said, just study and get good at dividing up space with different grids. I actually have a whole video on this basic concept that is talking about how you draw straight lines. And one of the reasons I use a grid as a good way for you to understand how to draw straight lines is because often the reason we're drawing straight lines is to draw a grid. So the concept of physically being able to draw grids is super important. But what you do here with the figure is just draw some different grids and then try and figure out where the halfway point is. Again, that's not a very good one. Keep going, keep experimenting. Etc., etc. We can think about, again, that idea of drawing a character where we're at a worm's eye view or bird's eye view, whatever it is. The most important thing initially is really basic. Just get that initial halfway point there. Once you do that, everything else becomes easy. Now, how do we sort of connect up the figure with this? Because I'm sure a lot of people are, at this point, sort of tuning out because this seems boring. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges, is understanding how this relates to what you want to do and why is it important. Well, obviously, once we get this right, we can then start to apply it to everything else. If we don't get this right, everything else is kind of a waste of time. All right, so how do we actually apply that? What I want to do mostly is talk about how that is applied and show it to you and give you a few little tools so that you can copy along, maybe try this with some of your characters or start to think about it. The goal here is that the more we can connect up figures and characters and interesting things with the topics of perspective, the more you're likely to get really interested in perspective and improving your perspective. If you can directly translate and apply the concepts that you might learn by studying 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, etc., at improving your technical drawing, then you can directly say, hey, now that I know that I've got this a little bit more accurate, that means the lines that I'm going to use to line up my character are going to be more accurate. I think that is the goal here. It's really easy doing drawing lessons to get lost in the weeds about perspective and form drawing and the concepts of boxes. So what I'm going to try and do is, again, just show you a little bit more how I do this so that hopefully you can get interested in learning the perspective if that's something that is lacking. And we can do some more basic perspective lessons on the channel as well. Let me know what you'd like to see. So the way that I start by this, and the way that I would apply the concept of those Loomis books to drawing and drawing the mannequin, is as follows. Let's start by drawing a character from above, as I was doing before. The most important thing that I think we can start with is just the center line. The center line is the thing that really helps us to anchor the figure. And this is similar to this center line here that is holding up the skeleton figure. This is an imaginary line running directly down the center of the body. And we can kind of really use this to figure out where that character is situated. So here we can, let's define some fairly sort of benign perspective here. This is all I'm using. So you can see this is actually similar to a box, right? If we think about a box being like this, what I'm drawing is this. Right, so I'm drawing the center of the box. You can imagine if there was a line there and a line there and then a line directly down the middle. That's kind of what I'm thinking about here. Where is the perspective? But I'm not drawing a box because in my experience, trying to fit a character in a box is not actually a good way to start. But in this case, that can be useful. Now, what I'm going to do is guesstimate the halfway point up here, from here to here. And this is something where, again, if you're having trouble drawing a line, right, again, thinking about where the perspective for that might be, and then trying to sort of guesstimate where halfway up is. If that's something that's troubling you, again, the more you learn about perspective, the better your ability to guesstimate that will be. If you're struggling, one of the things you can do is, again, formalize your drawing of these sort of elements and use those two-dimensional drawing tricks that we transfer to 3 dimensions, right? And see if you can find, bang, the center of that. So again, if I was to do that formally here, right, I'm just going to imagine that there is some sort of grid here that makes sense, right? So both these lines are going to some vanishing point, and I've got a line here. Boom. I'm going to try and guesstimate that's kind of down there straight, right? Boom. And then we can do the same thing here. So this is really the one that is super important to get right. Oh, I don't have a big enough ruler. Let's see if I can. I'll sort of see if I can guesstimate it kind of there. I think it's somewhere. Look, it's. Don't do that at home, people. Get a longer ruler. But I think this is going to be. It's pretty close. It's somewhere around there. So that is pretty close. Again, my guesstimation. And if we were to look at the vertical distance here, right, that's kind of 19. Half of 19 is somewhere around here, 9.5. So it's actually sort of like pretty much visually and measurement wise exactly the same. Now that's going to change depending on how much extreme perspective you get. But what I would do if you're thinking about drawing characters from above and different angles is just start with something basic like this. If you start to get to the point where you're thinking, oh, drawing characters from above equals really, really distorted grids. So it's not just that we're drawing the character from above, right? It's that we're drawing these kind of really extreme perspective shots. what you're doing is getting two concepts mixed up, in my opinion. One is the concept of the camera angle and how much distortion there is and how much exaggeration in the grid there is, from the concepts of lining things up and thinking about where the camera actually might be in relation to the figure. It's a lot easier to start with very low distortion. Again, it's very easy here to jump into a whole another subject of camera lenses, etc., etc., etc. The point is that you can draw a character, again, like a small character that's like fairly far away. There's not going to be heaps and heaps of distortion on this figure because, again, they're fairly small in relation to the camera. With a much larger figure, right, that gets really close to the camera, right, we can sort of take this really close to the camera. Sorry, it's going to get blurry, but you see the closer to the camera we get, the more distortion you get, right? So again, sorry it's blurry, but you get the basic idea. The camera angle is relating to what we're dealing with here in terms of extreme perspective. Now, that's something where the more of this extreme perspective you do, the better you'll be able to relate this to this. But when you're learning, stick with this. Just make it a very simple grid where you don't have a lot of distortion. Once you've done that, you can ratchet up the complexity. Super, super important. And again, if you're struggling with some of these concepts, as I said before, go check out some more fundamental perspective exercises. A lot of those you can actually see and study within those Loomis books. And again, I will make some more in the future on the channel. So the basic concept here is, again, we've got these proportional markers, and I'm just going to guesstimate, right, some lines going along here. Right, and we can also visualize some sort of lines going here that might sort of help us. And then we've also got, we're sort of halfway up here. Oh, yeah, maybe let's sort of guesstimate that. Try and draw a line. And what we're doing is adding just a very, very simple modification of our sort of initial Loomis proportion and sort of drawing, where we learn to draw the mannequin like this. I've got a head here, neck here, right, shoulders here, etc. So we're drawing the mannequin like this. What we're doing is we're taking these lines which don't have a lot of distortion on them, and we're just making sure that we draw them from different angles. That really is all that's going on. Just because you don't have extreme distortion in your perspective doesn't mean it isn't in perspective. That really is just related to the lens and where we're seeing characters from. Again, if you think about going back to that, sketch I had before where I had a bunch of little characters on the ground, normally that's going to be taken with a camera lens that's quite far away, taking a big sort of scenic shot from afar, and you're not actually going to have a lot of this distortion. This type of distortion is going to be much more prevalent when you've got the object really, really close to the camera, and there's going to be a lot more distortion there. So just keep that in mind. Now, this is still perspective, even though it's not ridiculously distorted. What we're trying to do is get used to lining up the character and drawing them from above and below. So here we're just going to do above, and hopefully I'll do a quick one below, and then we'll do a quick little sort of more cartoony character to show you how you apply the same basic concepts to something with a little bit more different proportional set. A little bit more of a different proportional set. So again, the reason I feel like focusing on the center line is important is that really is literally at the core of what we are trying to do. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and here I've got, right, I've got my 1, right, 2. So what I know is that here, right, I'm going to have my sort of pelvic probably a little bit higher, right, we're going to have the pelvic bit here, and this right rib cage is actually gonna come down here. So really good to get used to drawing these forms out in 3 dimensions. And this really is the skill that's probably more important and is going to help you. The grid helps us line up these points. So here I'm going to have, right, we've got the spine coming there. All right, we're going to have spine coming up there, and it's going to go into the head, just somewhere around here. Boom, boom, boom. Drop a line down there. Let's sharpen this pencil. All right, so we've got our head here. The lines will help us find these elements like the shoulder blades, right? They're going to help us find the shoulders from side to side. They're going to allow us to line up, again, the concept of where the hip bones are going to be. But you can see that having this concept of the center line is something that's really easy to keep us honest, because we can trace the spine, we can trace the which goes directly up the figure, and we can use that to help us find these different elements, and that, you know, just immediately will get us a lot closer to having something that feels symmetrical. And again, what we're after now is we've got this grid this way, right? We sort of have a grid this way. We don't really need it for a lot of things. But this is where, again, you can line things up and try and imagine where we have symmetry. Now, if you wanted to get more technical with the symmetry, you could try and do more technical perspective work to mirror. Again, I'm just going to eyeball. And what I would suggest is you just keep trying to eyeball it until you get sick of eyeballing it, and then go and learn how to measure it. Go and learn how to do it technically in perspective. And it'll hopefully be a lot more interesting then, because then once you learn it, you can come back to this and you know that you'll be more accurate. As I keep saying, I feel like that's so important. It's important to fail here. It's important to try to eyeball. It's not a matter of like get to a point where you're a 10 out of 10 at technical perspective, and then you can start eyeballing. No, you know, you are always guessing. You're always drawing cool stuff. Again, that's my primary recommendation, is draw cool stuff and, you know, figure out what you need to learn from drawing that interesting stuff, and do a little bit of this type of more academic study where we try and apply these things, and then, you know, go apply it to your cool stuff, and then you go back and forward and back and forward and back and forth. That really is the sort of magical answer as far as I'm concerned. That's really what sort of worked for me, and that's what I find typically works with students, is when they're constantly combining those two things. So what that means is sometimes you jump in and try and guess, and you fail, and you can redraw, and you can sketch around and try and draw something interesting. Draw something fun, you know, try and, if you want to draw mechs, you know, try and draw some mechs from different angles. If you want to draw, you know, fantasy stuff or aliens, you know, draw some alien characters from different angles, etc., etc. Now, I've talked a lot about in other videos as well how to add the musculature on top of the mannequin. So for this demo, we'll just deal with mannequins, right? Because the process is almost identical. It's just a matter of thinking about, again, how the muscles kind of wrap around and look from different angles. But the trick here is, how do we figure out where these points of proportion are? So again, I've got this bottom of this third. Proportion is often where I'm going to have my elbow. And here, again, I'm going to find that I'm going to have a combination of, I've got the bottom of the pelvis here, and the hand, right, is going to stop, right, hand is sort of going to start just below there. The elbow, right, hand is gonna, and this is where, again, what you tend to find is your intuition will be challenged. So the feeling of like, wait a minute, how long is this forearm? Well, I know from a proportional standpoint, right, if we look at this, that again, I've got that bottom of that rib cage. Just look at this and check. Because again, this is a major thing that will come up. I've got the bottom of the rib cage. All right, it's going to line up with that elbow. Now, it's very easy to figure out the depth and the length of these things when you're just drawing it flat on, but it's very easy to become challenged and accidentally draw stuff too long or too small or whatever, or just kind of, you just get tripped up and you're no longer able to engage your normal natural drawing intuition. So it's important here to double check and remember your proportions. We can see again at the bottom of the pelvis there, that's kind of where the hands start, and the hands then go down, and they're kind of, you know, ending about halfway up this bone, or about, as I often say, one hand length above the knee, or certainly the hinge point of the leg. So that is one of these things that's kind of quite tricky from a proportional standpoint to really get. All right, is understanding where these lines are likely to go. All right, so then we're going to have a line about there. All right, we're going to have a hand. If the hand was sort of extended, it would be about here. Right? If it was in a fist, it would probably be here. And here we've got the knee. Here we've got this. Now, this, I think, is often the biggest problem when it comes to drawing these things from different angles, is making sure that they connect with the ground. And more important, and probably the subject of a different video, is how do you do, as I was doing in that other sketch, multiple characters from the same angle and make sure they all feel like they're sitting on the ground plane. Again, this is where having a good sense of that center line will really help. If we know where that center line is, you can easily understand that the feet, you know, if they're just sort of planted normally, which is what I'd recommend initially to give them just a standard sort of pose, is they're going to be equidistant more or less in a standard pose from that center line. Now, again, a subject of another video is kind of how we modify the posture and get different feelings there. But just understanding where that center line is in space, and then just sort of placing the heels of the feet somewhere so that there's an equal distance from here to here is super helpful. And then what I'm doing is basically just thinking about where these lines are going out at different angles. So you can think about that from a two-dimensional standpoint. If I'm looking down, right, here's this line on the ground, here's the center line, here's this foot here, and here's this foot here. And what I'm doing is I'm saying, well, the feet are kind of turned outward, a little bit like they are here. I'm doing it a little bit more exaggerated to make the point. But again, just visualizing the space, understanding the center, being able to measure, right? Again, it's the same thing. Visualizing the center line, measuring that space or guesstimating that space. Again, visualizing that center, understanding the points, right? So if we reattach our poor little skeleton's arm, again, this is the visualization we're trying to practice, is where's the center, where is the wrist sort of point, and where's the other wrist point, and just visualizing the distance. Having that center line there is super important, right? So this is what we're sort of trying to visualize. Points here, points here, points here. And really it is that simple. It's just a matter of staying true to the proportion, understanding how important the proportion is, understanding how important finding that middle section is. And what I'd say is not getting too lost in the perspective, just understanding that what we need is almost just parallel lines, right? Almost all I need to know is that, right, this line is kind of at like a similar angle to this one. It doesn't even need to be too much in perspective. I don't really even need these to be going to the same vanishing point. I just need them to kind of be almost in an isometric perspective to practice this. Again, once you start getting this and you're able to place these things accurately, I think that's when you'll be able to experiment a little bit more and take it to the next level. All right, let's try from below, because I think, again, what that will do is help us to just reiterate, do the same thing again, but we'll deal with a much more extreme angle. So we'll have a basic angle there, right? But a little bit of, let's put a little bit of an angle here. All right, so maybe the horizon line is super low down, right? Here we've got our horizon line. And again, what I'm after is a sense of where that center is. So I'm just gonna, now, again, there's a procedural sort of thing here, which is obviously, you know, I could draw a big box here, right? So I'm trying to find halfway here. It doesn't really matter how big this box is. That's not really the point. All I need to do, you can sort of draw any old size box. Again, I'm going to run out of ruler. Let me find a bigger one. This will solve that problem. So you can see here that it's going to find center right over here, but that does give me a really good indication of where that's going to be, because all I'm going to try and do now is sort of draw, if we sort of try and understand what's happening from a visualization standpoint, right? I've drawn this, right? And what I'm trying to visualize is where this one is going to go. Now, it's not going to go there, right? I don't want to draw it that way because that doesn't look like it's going to the same vanishing point. I want to draw it so that it feels like it's going to the same bump, same vanishing point over there, right? That's kind of what I want, right? And I want my horizon line to be somewhere there. That's kind of what I'm doing. Now, the line can be over here. It doesn't matter. What I'm after is where is halfway up this measurement, right? So if there was a line here or a line here, if I find the center between this line and this line, it will give me halfway up all of these lines. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, if not, it's a good example of how learning some more perspective may help. So here again, what I'm doing is, this is the bit that will derail you if we get it wrong. What I'm trying to do is figure out where I place this line. Now there's a really easy trick that you can use, and that is to just measure. This is another sort of easy sort of way you can do this to kind of help you guesstimate. What I can do is physically measure. Right here I've got, right, sort of roughly, that's roughly 20, so 10 is going to be halfway up here. And if we sort of take a measurement here, that's 16 and a half, so 8 and a bit, right? It's going to be somewhere around there. So if I kind of draw a line between these somewhere around here, right? Again, those things don't all line up perfectly. That's going to give me a pretty good indication of where halfway up is. Or you can just guess. Totally up to you. This is a really good way where you can start to apply these boring perspective concepts to your drawing, get a better result, get a better guesstimate, and make sure, again, you're doing that thing, building that muscle of applying the technical knowledge to something that's actually going to help you. The other thing you can do is you can try guessing first, and then you can do all of the things and see how far you get. You can see I kind of guessed about there, and it was a little bit down there. The point is that we want to get a feeling for where halfway up this figure is if we then start drawing the rest of these lines. Because obviously what I'm going to do now is divide up this top thing into 4 sections, and I'm going to divide this into half. And I'm just guesstimating at that point. Why? Because this is pretty accurate. And what you'll find generally with a lot of perspective is once you kind of key into it, once you kind of understand, like, oh, I get what's happening here. I've got a solid indication. I know these are true. Then it's a lot easier for your brain to kind of guess the rest, if that makes sense. You kind of have the framework and the rest kind of fall into place. So again, I've got some of these lines going here. I'm not drawing them that accurately, but it is the same idea. We're going to have, what I'll do and what I suggest to do is kind of just rough it in first. Right, I'm going to have here sort of pelvic stuff here. There's going to be a rib cage thingy here. Again, they're going to sort of line up a little bit. Again, you know, the side of the rib cage will kind of line up with the pelvis. You kind of have that. Boom. Right. It helps me anyway to sort of visualize the spaces a little bit. Right. Take those sort of jelly bean. Take those. Where's a good place to draw here? Take the jelly beans, right, and add dimensionality. Right. Just think about, like, where is the three-dimensional space there? Let's draw through. Right. Let's try and define that space. I'm going to have a spine that goes up like that. It's going to come back behind, right, from the spine, comes back, sort of curves in. Oh, sorry, let's get that closer. Curves in on the small of the back, goes out, and then comes in. That's that sort of arc that I'm trying to visualize. So it's there, comes back up here, right, and then it's going to insert in the back of the skull there, right, and then I can draw the skull, right, I know, right, can define dimensionality within that sphere, etc., etc. And here I've got, again, some shoulders. Right, I'm going to place those shoulders. Again, visualizing. Right, got sort of a neck here. Again, I feel like those shoulders could be a little bit, again, a little bit more on that line. Now, you can either rough in or guesstimate, make things a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. If you run into trouble there or consistently run into trouble, again, one of the things that I'm facing is, as I often see with these drawing demos, I'm looking at this paper from a little bit of an angle. I'm also meant to be looking up at it from the drawing, so it's going to be hard for me to gauge how big that head actually needs to be. But when I rough it in, again, the things that will help me to visualize that are, again, thinking about where that center line is, right? So it's almost like we're sort of, you know, got the sphere, right? We're sort of chopping half of it off, and then we got this, right? And there'll be like eyes here. So I'm sort of trying to think about where that is under there. That will sort of help. And again, this is just construction drawing. So you know, if you're practicing these things, go crazy with it. Draw the lines, make it messy. It's you know, it's really worthwhile going pretty rough, you know, as rough as you need. But again, you know, might need to make that head a little bit bigger or smaller. Again, don't feel like when you're doing these exercises that you need to get the ruler out for everything. Part of this is training your intuition and your ability to just kind of wing it and see how you go. So don't freak out if, you know, you're like, oh, I need to make the head a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. If it's really important and it's a really, really highly detailed illustration, then, you know, you might measure it out a little bit more. But most of the time with the mannequin, what we're after is lining things up. The things that will make the drawing really sort of awful are if you know, the arms aren't lined up properly. You know, if the eyes don't sort of line up, right? If I don't, you know, if one eye's you know, up here and the other eye's down there or something silly. Those are the things that are going to make the difference. It's easy to kind of make the head overall a little bit bigger, overall a little bit smaller. Make sure it fits the character you want. If you're drawing a manga character, obviously a head might be a little bit bigger. Eyes are going to be a little bit bigger, right? Might be some sort of crazy hair or something like that on the figure. Who knows? Again, most of this is just get stuff in the right spot and then know the grid that you've got to line everything up on. But the good thing about proportion this way is that, you know, I don't even have to start drawing the legs because I sort of know where they're going to go. Right? I have a good understanding and a good ability to guesstimate you know, where that line is, so I kind of know where those legs are going to go. Right? I've got a pretty good indication. Again, that's the heel of the foot. This is the ball of the foot. So we can't see it. This one's foreshortened, right? Coming at us. Again, that's, you know, its own little drawing problem that can be quite challenging to solve. But at its core is just, you know, going through things logically and kind of thinking about what you see when you're looking at a foot from front on. But as I said, I can either draw the legs or I could draw the hands because I know where everything is going to end up. We know what's going to happen. Now, I think probably, again, that's kind of where the bottom of that rib cage is meant to go. Right, so the bottom of the rib cage is meant to be probably a little bit lower. Right, navel is sort of going to be about there, and that means probably I've drawn these shoulders a little bit narrow, based on sort of, I think we're drawing sort of like a male figure. Right, so just going to sort of guesstimate where that is going to go, and we're going to line it up. And again, doing those things is totally fine. A lot of it is just recognizing the proportion. You know, you go through it, and then just, you know, I realize, oh, that's right, you know, that torso, right, sort of comes down and you know, hits the bottom of that proportion, right? So we sort of got 1 proportion, 2 proportion, 3 proportions, 4 proportions. And here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just drew this a little bit small initially. Again, not a problem because we can go in and adjust it. And that probably means visually this head is going to want to look a little bit bigger. But that's all we need to do. I know that the shoulders are going to be there. Again, I know that the forearms are sort of going to be about there, and as I said, we probably draw these shoulders a little bit lower. Shoulder there, shoulder there. So as I said, it's totally fine to experiment, to push and, you know, play with these things, make the shoulders a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. The goal is for you to understand what's happening, be able to troubleshoot. If you make a mistake like I did there, then, you know, you sort of know how to fix it. And mostly that you're just lining things up. So just remember, we're trying to line things up. Got the elbows are lined up, the hands lined up, the knees lined up, etc., etc., etc. I'm finding center, right? Center of that, right? Shoulders, boom, 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 etc. So again, same basic idea, very simple to apply. Practicing it can be a challenge, right? You've got to keep trying, you've got to keep playing with these things. It's very easy to make one mistake, as I said, you know, oh, this proportion's wrong. And the trick there is just fix it. Play around with fixing it. Fixing it is just as important as getting it right in the beginning. All right, we'll do one more little demo where we talk about a more sort of cartoony character, and we'll apply the basic same concepts there. Again, just to reiterate and sort of talk about how you can apply these perspective things to anything. All right, so same idea, but let's draw a little character that maybe has some different anatomical things, but we'll apply the same basic concept. We'll draw it from above. So again, what I'm doing is sort of setting a grid that way, and then I'm drawing some kind of line to help me figure out what's happening with the character. But in this case, mostly what I'm going to do is just discuss how we can use the concepts of form drawing to experiment. So here I'm going to have some sort of those hip bones, but in this case, let's draw something that maybe is a bit more like a dragon or some little character who is a little bit more cartoony. So dragon sort of creature. Right, in this case, I'm going to draw, think about where that's where the center is. I've got, right, we're lining things up. What I'm going to do is line up, that's where the knees are lined up, and then I'm going to draw one of these sort of animalistic legs. Right, so let's transfer that over. Here I've got, again, from side to side. Right, there's the center. Right, we've got this here. Got that there. We're just drawing points in space. Here I've got my pelvis. Let's see if we can find that. This is tricky because we got a lot of foreshortening here. Right, and then I've got this over here. Where's it hit the ground? Hits the ground kind of over here. So really what we have to think about is what is the line of, where does that hit the ground? Right, and how do I get that leg to sit there, right? So again, if we were to look at this from above, if I draw this line from here, right, here we've got sort of the pelvis, and what we're doing is drawing legs out, boom, out here, and then it goes back, but that is kind of underneath. Right, so we're finding that point of this, look at it from the side, it's going dunk, 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 and we're finding these points. And then it goes down, and we don't really see that, right? And then it comes out, right? And we sort of barely see that. So this is where, again, some of that perspective will come in handy. So now I'm going to draw our rib cage, and I think this is going to attach a little bit forward, so I still want to think about where that center line is going to be, but I'm going to transfer that over there. And so now what we're trying to do is find, again, like we'll have an arm here and an arm here, and we've got the spine wrapping around here. All right, we'll have a head, bump, bump, and let's put some arms down here. So I'm just going to transfer that arm right over here. Let's have some big chunky hands. Right, so we've got mannequin like this. Hopefully you guys can see this, and then we'll go, let's extend out. Right. Again, this is not a great design, mostly just because it's good to see all of these things working. Right, so we have a neck here, then we're going to have a tail. Now we find the tail by finding the point on the ground. Right, let's trace from there. We can think about what's happening here if we think about the side. Right, got pelvic bones, and then this is coming up here, right, curving around. Boom. And at the front there, we've sort of got the shoulders, and then this is continuing forward. Right, we've got got some sort of thing there. And what's happening is this is the ground, and what I want is the tail to come down here. Right? Although in this case it looks like it's coming a little bit more like that. So hopefully you can see how, again, we can practice, and again, hopefully you can see how that is going to turn into some sort of fantasy character that might look interesting. Again, just to sort of nail home the point, if we can sort of erase some of that out, and maybe, you know, put some extra sort of musculature on it so that you can see. Right, if we have some sort of arms like this. Right, leg. And here we'd have, again, some sort of toes. So yeah, again, hopefully you see that we could build that up if we wanted. And to me, you know, this is the sort of stuff that I was, you know, more interested in doing as, you know, characters that weren't, you know, typical humans. But the point is that just practicing these things, stepping through the basics, doing your simple division of space will really help. If you can do this right, if you can practice this and just keep going, you know, break out the ruler if you need to do it. If you're finding things are going wonky, as I said, go back, check your fundamental perspective knowledge, make sure that you're being accurate. A lot of the time, you know, these things are sort of going pear-shaped because, you know, as I said, we're trying to do a little bit too much of this extreme perspective. You're trying to do too much. Stick with something that's almost like an isometric perspective. Isometric perspective is where, again, the lines don't really go back to a vanishing point. They're just kind of parallel to each other. That will teach you the fundamentals of how to control these grids that underline the figure and the structure. Once you do that, then you can start to build out more interesting characters. You can start to play with, again, much, much more extreme views, much more extreme angles. You know, you could try something that is, you know, super distorted, right, where we're seeing like massive amounts of distortion there. Again, you ratchet up the difficulty bit at a time, do a little bit of this, and again, there's like levels to the degree to where you're studying. These are still abstract studies. Do a few of these things and then just go draw your normal stuff for fun, right? That's what's important. The idea is important. Having fun while you're drawing is important. If you find that these are tricky, as I said, go back and just, you know, try and get your ability to draw cubes or some basic things as solid as that can be, because then you find that there's follow-on. There's a flow to how these things support each other. But yeah, hopefully that has been interesting. Let me know in the comments. This is a little bit more of a technical one, which I do sort of apologize for. And the real challenge here is that I think both as a drawing teacher and as a student, what I remember, and I still find this kind of frustrating, is that it is hard to know where to approach this from. There's 4 or 5 things that you absolutely need to get right in order to start rotating these figures around and drawing them from different angles, and there's no linear way you can do it, I think, that gives you some amazing solution where you just do A, B, C, and then all of a sudden it magically works. It's a progression. Again, as I say, people can get really good at drawing cubes, and then they, you know, can't transfer those skills to their more interesting fun drawings. And likewise, you know, if you just kind of keep doing this but you don't study the perspective, then, you know, you're going to find it a little bit harder to you know, draw these things from different angles, and it's certainly going to take you a lot longer to get those things sorted. So it's a matter of doing all of these things and trying to figure out where they fit into your art journey, where they fit into your particular way of doing things. And I think the most important thing is to look for failure. Look for places where you aren't understanding things. But jump in first. Don't be afraid. It's okay if you try these things and they don't work. Don't freak out. Just step back and say, hey, what do I need to learn? Which fundamental thing am I not getting? Am I just completely not lining these things up? In many cases, it is just one of the biggest problems that you'll face is just people will be trying to draw these kind of lines and they're not even remotely going to the same vanishing point. There's a lack of accuracy. So that's where, again, just building your ability to draw straight lines, to develop grids. Again, I'll link to that video in the description. Just making sure all of that stuff is solid will help immensely. But this is a long game. This is a long journey. If you're partway along the journey, then again, you probably sort of know that already. There's no trick. As I said, you got to piece these things together in your subconscious mind a little bit at a time, and you slowly build structures that support each other. But I think what you have to understand is this does work, and you will get better at it a little bit by a little bit over time. So good luck with this. Let me know if you got any questions or comments down below. And but that's all I got for now. We'll catch you around. Happy drawing.
Alright, this is Speaker's Corner in London, where every Sunday people can just turn up, stand on a box, and sort of, shout out what's on their mind.
All women! Back to the kitchen! Now!
The bloke you're about to see, that's him there, he's called Howard, and he normally comes here to spread the word about how he's going to live forever.
I'm not there to convince them that I'm right. They can go away and think I'm a complete lunatic for all that matters.
Ricky told me about him ages ago, and when he said he was bringing out a DVD called Fame, I kind of thought, it'd be an ideal opportunity to meet up with Howard and have a chat with him because, fame, I'm going to live forever. Sort of works, doesn't it? I met up with Howard at a park near his house one morning just before he was going off to Speaker's Corner. He started off by telling me how it all came about.
Over a period of 16 years, from 1970 to 86, I discovered a process to stop the physical ageing process of the body. As I say, it took me about 16 years to work out. Now, what I discovered is that everybody's mind operates within a standard framework, and you go through the process of life everyone's familiar with. You physical age and die. Well, I found a way, over a period of 4 years, I say from 82 to 86, approximately, where it's possible to pull one's mind out of the standard framework into an alternative framework, and within that alternative framework, the physical body doesn't age.
But have I got this as well, or is this just unique to you?
It's unique to me, yes.
So even though you're telling me I couldn't...
No, there's certain laws operating in the universe that only allow one person to work it out, so it only applies to me, so it's not transferable. Because often people get disappointed, but they don't seem to realise that that is the situation.
Well, do they feel like you're just showing off then? Because in a way it's kind of like, look what I've got.
Yeah, that's true, but I try to explain to them, if they can see it, that I'm not actually showing off. The position is that this is what my vocation is in life. And they say, and someone turns around and says, that's not fair. Well, let's look at it realistically. Is life fair? It isn't, is it?
Not
really.
For everyone.
No, not for everyone. It's not really fair. That's the situation. I can't alter the laws of the universe. So it's not my fault. It's not blaming me.
Would that annoy you if there was someone? If I said, Howard, the reason I'm seeing you is because I've got the same thing?
As far as I'm concerned, it's not possible. As I said, certain laws operating in the universe only allow one person to work it out. Of course, someone's going to ask me...
But who's made that rule?
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, that's where it stops. It's difficult to go into that. So it's difficult to explain that.
The other thing is, if there was another one, people would sort of try and pair you off, wouldn't they? They'd say, oh, you can live together forever. But that wouldn't be the best thing, would it? Because you'd be sick of each other.
You'll soon find that this thing is totally ignored. I mean, after you have the initial conversation, one doesn't normally discuss it again. It's just one of those things.
So you don't bring it up in other bits when it comes to like insurance and stuff like that.
Just forget about all that.
You just leave it because it's just too
No,
complicated.
there's no point in mentioning it. That'd be what I call inappropriate.
But you are happy with it. You're not.
Yeah, I've adjusted. In life you have to adjust to things, don't you? Whatever happens, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, one hope it doesn't happen to you, but you could one day have an accident or you lose an arm. Well, it's terrible to start off with, but after a while you have to adjust, because some people in a situation like that might get very bitter for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So
it's understandable, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's understandable if they do. I say it's not a very good analogy there.
But what about you? You know, you sort of living forever, though. You could still lose an arm or a leg, couldn't you?
Well, no, I'm protected by the spirit world. That sort of situation won't occur.
What? No harm at all? You can't...
Within reason. I mean, obviously you can get a cold or things like that. But
you can't lose a leg, or...?
No, that's impossible.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm protected by... See, people think there's only one world, the physical world, but there's two worlds. The physical world and the spirit world. I'll still be in the physical world, whereas you'll be in the spirit world.
But doesn't that annoy you, because you'll never get to see the spirit world?
Well, it is possible. Some people have seen glimpses of the spirit world before they physically die. There's something called near-death experiences.
Yeah, I've had that.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was on an ice pop.
Oh, I see.
That went down the wrong way on my throat and I was choking, and my mum had to give me that fireman's thing where they, get air to you, squeeze you around the belly.
Oh, I see.
But I didn't see anything. I didn't see like a person standing over me saying welcome or whatever would happen.
I see. Very good. So it was an uplifting experience.
It's horrible.
I'm sure it is. Well, they are.
I always say I want to live to be about 74, 75, and then I reckon by that point I'll have had enough, I think.
You think? Oh, dear.
How old are you now?
Well, see, now let's make clarification, because you're talking about age for a minute. See, in this alternative frame, I won't age. So I won't get any older than I am now.
What, in terms of the way you look?
Physical, yeah. Now, let's see how old when my body stopped aging in 1986, so that now I was 42.
You're 42. So birthdays, in effect, they're a waste of time to you, aren't they? Because it doesn't mean anything.
Well, do they mean anything to you?
It just means I'm getting a bit nearer to dying.
That's how you receive it. Some people like celebrating their birthdays regardless.
No, I don't. So what do you do for a birthday? I mean, is this sort of an in-joke with your friends? And
No, it's just someone might send me a card and that's it. I mean, I'm not too concerned.
No, but do they joke in it? It's like, here's another one.
No. If I tell people about my vocation in life and they want proof, I normally don't give it because I'm not there to prove anything. I'm there, my mission is to tell people about it, anyone who's particularly interested. I'm not there to convince them that I'm right. They can go away and think I'm a complete lunatic, for all that matters. I'm not worried.
Do you think they'll start listening more when you're a lot older, because then they'll go, oh, he wasn't joking?
They might make a joke later, but they might have died by the time, it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean...
I don't know what matters. That's kind of... I just bumble along, that's what you do. You're born and you try and get on with it and you try and enjoy yourself. But everything, you see, everything in life normally comes to an end, doesn't it? So it's hard to get your head around. It's like when people say the universe goes on forever. You go, oh, don't talk about it.
Well, so what? If it does, big deal, so what?
Well...
It doesn't affect you.
No, but it's weird. You can't get your head around it, can you? Because everything's got a lifespan normally.
Well, we always think everything has a beginning and an end.
But most things do.
Something, yeah, but...
Tell me something else apart from you that is going to be on this planet forever.
Well, there's the Earth, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's always been turfed and that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about it.
All you're doing is having a haircut. I'm talking about, like, something that lasts forever, that you don't have to do anything to. There's nothing.
I don't think there's anything, to be quite frank.
A tortoise, that is the only thing that you sort of think lives for ages. But even...
Hey, thanks so much indeed for logging on. There is even more exclusive material and behind-the-scenes stuff about The Office on this web page.
That's the good thing about the internet, that you put loads of shit on there. Doesn't matter how long it is or how fucking boring it is. If you want to stay up all night watching something, you can. You will. When we went along to the BBC in about 1999. And they said, do you think it's going to be a sitcom? We went, yeah. I said, as long as I'm in it, we write it and we direct it. And they went, well, I said, no. I said, if I don't get the main role, we direct it and we write it, you can walk. And Steve went, in future, Rick, can I do the talking? He was a little bit worried that, as a nobody, I was laying down some ultimatum.
Specific demands from the off. But I think what was weird was, because Ricky had never set out to be an actor or a comedian, and he wasn't chasing fame, and he wasn't desperate to be on the telly, his feeling was either we do it in the way that we think it'll work, or we don't. And it's, you know, he'd rather go back and do his regular job than sort of compromise it. And whereas I was panicked, you know, I was thinking, I want to be on the telly, I want to be famous, I'm rich. What are you doing, you maniac, you stupid fat old maniac? So I was a bit more panicked, and I was trying to kind of... But somehow I think his kind of forcefulness worked to our advantage in the end, because you need that confidence in a way to sort of see your vision through.
But we've sort of kept that up. We've never taken anything to get a stepping stone. We've never compromised. We've never did things that we didn't want to do to get somewhere. And it sort of makes you bulletproof. If you really can walk away and just go, oh, OK, we'll leave it, then, you know, the bits that you're left with are your vision, are where you've had total control. And I think that's quite important. Because otherwise you're...
Yeah, if you're successful, otherwise you're just living in your car.
Oh, dear.
The thing that interests me about The Office, which was so brilliant and in a way educational, was that it, you know, revealed the tremendous flowing emotions that happen inside an office. You know, a lot of sitcoms have to do with family, a lot of sitcoms have to do with friendship, and everybody knows all those dynamics. And then you underestimate sort of how complex the lies are that we tell in the workplace.
Everything happens in the workplace. I think the fact that it seemed small, that it was literally just an office, is exactly the point. I think you could go into a shoe shop or a place where they sold ties, and it would be equally compelling.
Because we were so naive, though, we were thinking, well, there's not going to be any actors that will be able to be convincing and real and naturalistic. We're going to need to, you know, grab people off the street. I mean, we had grand plans, you know, sort of auditioning in village halls all over England to find these real convincing people. And then we realised that real convincing people are terrible. That's why they're not actors. And that actually really good actors can just do an amazing job. And a lot of people always give us credit as though they say, was it improvised? Was lots of it improvised? But it's the actors who are just so good at making those lines seem real.
We knew that as well. It's 99.9%, you know, in the script, and so we needed people to do that like they were saying it for the first time. And there's the real skill. But we did want unknowns, and we kept to that. We didn't want people who'd been, you know, in soap operas, and so because we wanted people to suspend their disbelief long enough, just for the first 2 minutes, to think, is this real? Is this a real documentary? And I think we sort of got that to a certain extent.
One of the things that Gervais and Merchant have really got right, that so many people get wrong in comedy, in sitcoms, is that if you're going to have a character who is a twat and a bit obnoxious and whatever, the way to make them watchable is to make them also lovable.
I think that David Brent is probably a good boss for a paper company, you know? I think that, you know, he's big on morale, he's entertaining. I don't know, like, I think people would sort of be fortunate to have David Brent as a boss at that stage in the game. But maybe I'm just thinking that as a guy who I would just be laughing constantly at this guy, you know?
It must be really exhausting being Brent, mustn't it? It's you are looking around and at a room full of people plus a camera and needing to assess really quickly in your head how you have to be to please each one, make each one think you're funny, and each one respect you. And you can't do it, you know, with everyone. I'd be exhausted if I were him. I wouldn't have it in me.
I liked Tim very much. I really liked him. He didn't seem a million miles away from me. In terms of his sense of humour or in terms of his self-deprecation and his... This is a dangerous thing to say now, but in terms of his wit, you know, I like funny stuff, and he likes funny stuff, and he sort of likes taking the mick, and so do I.
Tim's job is to just, sort of like Chandler's job was, to just be an observer of all of it and, let us in. He's the guy that is making fun of it and making comments about it and letting the audience know it's okay to laugh at the ridiculousness of this,
Tim, of course, is us. Tim is the normal audience watching. And, Tim's look to camera was sort of saying, are you getting this? This is what I put up with every day. So that was very important as well, because he was, surrounded by idiots, and he was the sort of dissatisfied Socrates in a room of satisfied fools.
We had spent so long talking about the characters and people from our own lives that were like those people that we sort of had quite vivid ideas of what they should look like and sound like and be like. So I suppose we were sort of looking for actors that could...
Which turned out to be naive because, of course, for example, Gareth was meant to be quite a strapping sort of squaddy type. And we, were looking for those types. But, of course, when Mackenzie walked in, that went out the window.
I knew from the moment I read the script that this was the one I had to get if I was gonna have a chance at having a career in acting. I'd been doing bits and pieces of TV, and I've been slogging around the stand-up circuit for a decade, and this was the one that stood out. The script was just so good, and I knew that this was the one I definitely had to get, and so I had my heart set on it, yeah.
Gareth said these such awful things, but in such a delicate way, and I've never seen it done before. I've never seen, someone who really should be this kind of big old red-faced, sweaty bloke saying all these ghastly things, but it wasn't. It was sweet Mackenzie, who is such a nice person in real life, that I loved the juxtaposition of it, and I thought it worked brilliantly.
Subconsciously, he's probably disappointed to find himself in this position in life, but he can compensate for that by having these delusions of grandeur and giving himself a title and making out he's a bigger person than he is, more important than he is, and it gets more respect than he actually does. So yeah, the title is very important to him, and his desk space is very important to him, and his pseudo-macho hobbies are very important to him. They all make him into this person that he wants to be, rather than this little man that he actually is.
The first time I went in, I just read with the casting director. The second time I came in, I read with Ricky. And I loved that because you could actually, because I knew that he was going to play Brent, you could actually see things come to life, and you could see what road they were going to take in terms of style. Sometimes I went in for one script that I actually did like, and then in the audition it was like, come on, bigger, 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 think pantomime times a million, and I'm not very good at that. I'm sort of a one-trick pony, and kind of I'm always asked to sort of, speak up, and so The Office was sort of perfect for me because I could just sort of kind of be myself.
I do think it is one of the great casting triumphs of British television. I mean, I keep being haunted by that sense of how revolutionary the casting seemed and the performance style. But every single one of those characters is so perfectly cast, and in a sort of new, informal way. It's not a big, rounded, performed thing. It was just a way of finding people who would fit that style perfectly. And when you do cast things, you realise that you're always casting for style. Someone can come in and be very funny, but they're not right for you. They're funny in a slightly different way. Their tone is slightly bigger or smaller. And I think the perfection of the casting, all credit has to go to them for that, for how perfect everybody was, as it were, right down to the glory of Keith.
Possibly, Anders. Maybe send in a CV. Or email a CV.
He's put a little bit of all of us in that, hasn't he? Oh, I'll ask him if he's a goggle-eyed freak, Steve.
All right, calm down.
Well, no, I didn't mean...
No need to get insulted.
No, I didn't necessarily mean you, did I?
No need to get nasty.
Well...
Also, I was thinking about that, actually, Steve.
Oh, God.
Just talking of the old...
What?
What?
Talking of the what?
No. Do you know, like...
This better be good.
No, you don't have that many girlfriends and
What do you mean?
Carl, why are we on this? I was defending you in the whole monkey discussion. Come on, what's your point? What's your point? What's your point?
No, what's the point? What's the point?
I just was thinking...
If there was an infinite number of Steves?
You're an odd-looking fella.
Come on, Carl, get to the...
No, you know I know that. I've told you that loads of times.
What do you mean, you know I know that?
Well, there's no point pretending anymore.
Steve, I'm flabbergasted.
But also, you don't like spending money, right?
He's mean and weird looking.
Valentine's Day. Are you sort of, you know...
You've got to love him though, haven't you?
What are you happier with? The fact that no girls like you enough, right?
This is really mental.
Or are you happy because you don't have to spend any money on a card for someone?
A little from column A, a little from column B.
Right, let's have more monkey news. What have we got?
No, we've got
so much to get into this show. Insults,
We don't
stupidity.
need the insults. I think we've got enough. We don't need the
Yeah,
insults.
there's no more insults. No more
What
insults.
angers me with Carl is you know he's been planning that.
No, I haven't. I was thinking about it on the way in because Valentine's Day is coming up and I'm not a big fan of it. Right?
Condoms?
You bought your girlfriend a box of condoms for Christmas. I don't think you can have a go at me. To be fair.
No, but I don't just treat her on Valentine's. I'm always... Do you know what I mean?
You don't even treat her on Valentine's. You don't even treat her at Christmas or on her birthday. When do you treat her?
Hang on a minute. Wait a cotton picking minute there. Oh, why I order. Wait a minute. What was that? Tiffany dog.
I treat your girlfriend better than you, and I've only met her twice.
I took her out last night and she enjoyed herself.
Where'd you go?
Until she had to write the cheque.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
To a chippy. A really...
No. Play a record!
To a chippy?
No, a really quality one.
Right.
Oh, God!
Under a fiver for two.
Oh, nice wrapping. Not newspaper, greaseproof paper.
And bread.
And bread.
But anyway, talking of emails and that, right? Nick, who's emailed from Australia, right, Melbourne, he's been going on about dolphins and that, problems with dolphins.
What problems?
He's just saying when that wind happened, there was like a bad wind thing going on.
Hold on, wait a minute. What bad wind?
In America, they had that
Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was like a little bay with dolphins in it, and
Right.
that, with all guns on them and stuff.
What? Whoa.
Because they use dolphins, don't they? They say they're an intelligent animal and stuff.
Yeah.
And they've got them all like, they've all had the training. They're all like ready for battle and stuff.
Right.
Got like rifles on them.
What do you mean rifles? How can they hold a rifle? How can they hold a rifle?
No, it's sort of on a strap and that.
What do you mean it's on a strap?
I don't know what they kit them out with, but they're just ready for war. Whenever
What are you talking about?
Listen, though, that isn't the point. Don't worry about it.
Oh, we leave
But what
that
I'm
one, do
saying
we?
is-
That's not the point, so let's leave it.
So they're swimming about. and that,
Yeah,
in this
with
little bay.
rifles and berets.
Whatever they've got on.
Yeah.
right, ready for battle and stuff.
Yeah, ready for battle, yeah.
The wind comes in.
The wind comes in.
Hurricane Katrina.
Makes a wave and that. They get out of the little bay.
Yeah.
Still all kitted out with all the, weapons.
You're talking
and that.
bollocks.
Steve, do you want to look at the email,
Well,
mate?
there's no way. There's loads of dolphins now swimming round, kitted out
Causing
with
problems.
guns and that, with a strap. How can a dolphin hold a... Whoa. Again, you've been watching Planet of the Apes. Oh, he's trying to talk to us. What's he saying? He's saying, go ahead, punk, make my day.
Look,
You're talking shit.
It's just news to say if there's dolphins, if you see a dolphin in that, don't go, oh, it's friendly, because there's some with weapons now. So I'm just reading it out on email. That'll cover it and that. So
bollocks.
Other emails. We've had a lot of questions about time travel. People are fascinated about your approach to time travel. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but this is a very specific time travel question. If you had a time machine, Carl, to what event in your childhood would you travel back to and why?
what's the point in going back to things that you thought? No, it's just that it's never as good, is it? It's like a place you go on holiday and you go back thinking it'll be as good as the first time. It never is. So I don't believe in going back to places.
What do you understand the question as? Do you think they're asking, would you go back like a ghost and spy? Would you go back and you've got your childhood back? You are that child again. You're in the body. You are the child. Or you've got your adult head and experiences on. You know,
Rick, I really don't think Karl was thinking there was any of those variations.
No,
let's be honest. But now that you've flagged them up,
I think he was thinking of him as he is now in school with a cap on.
yeah.
But
Too big for the chairs.
yeah. Come on.
No, I don't think I would go back. It's all happened now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's an email for our own amusement.
Well, okay.
Choose an event. Okay, forget the time travel thing.
No, hang on. I think let's clarify one of Ricky's points. What if you could go back and you could live that moment again? How would you do it differently?
There's been times where I've gone, oh, that was a bit out of order or whatever. But then you learn from your mistakes, don't you? So I don't want to go back and change stuff, because it's like that thing that they go on about, isn't it, where they blame the butterfly on an earthquake. You know, it's going to happen. If it wasn't that butterfly, it's another one. So why pass the buck, is what I'm saying.
So you've got no regrets. There's nothing in your past you'd want to change or do differently?
What about if you went back and you spied like a ghost on something? You couldn't change anything, but you could have a look at someone and just sort of look like like Ebenezer Scrooge does with the Ghost of Christmas Past. He goes back and he's sort of like looking at himself dancing and stuff. What would you do? What would you go back and have a look at?
Yeah, but you're asking me to change. I don't want to change.
You're not changing, you're just observing.
It's impossible.
All right,
this question, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have to do this. It's impossible.
Right, yeah, I nearly died once, didn't I, on an ice pop.
Right.
Right. Now, maybe if I would have died, I'd say, well, let's go back to that, and I won't have an ice pop.
You wouldn't be doing the podcast if you'd have died. You wouldn't be having this email put to you. What are you
That's absurd.
about?
You're now saying you're rewriting history and then going back to change it.
Yeah.
There's no need. You didn't die.
And we've changed it. You can't change anything. You're just going to go back and watch them. Would you like to go back and watch yourself choking on a Mr. Freeze?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I wouldn't go back now, because I'm all right. I haven't had one since. I've learnt a lesson. I'm not missing them ice pops. So
I don't think you're making the most of this opportunity to fantasise.
I don't see the point in going back in anything. I mean, do you mean go back in time to the point of you can see, like, Rome in its working day?
What, in your childhood? Was Rome about when in your childhood? Were there gladiators in your childhood?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everything I've been through, so why see it again?
Forget it. It was just a nice little question.
I mean, that shows the lack of imagination in Karl Pilkington. Your mind can't fathom something unless it's, like, you know, got two heads.
But I don't see the point in doing something twice. Because the thing is, say if there's one good moment when I was about 6 that I loved, I'd then have to go through all the other 20 years. Again.
Well, why? Why have you imposed that? It's a fantasy. Make up.
You could go back and come back again.
Yeah, whiz back and fast forward 35 years.
Nah.
Brilliant. No. Like it was on offer. Like this was really on offer. Move on.
It is hard eating a knob.
So what are you saying? You could...
I'm saying, like, I could eat a knob at night. 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 Knob at night. I could eat a 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 knob on the slip. I could eat a knob at night. 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 Knob on the slip. I could eat a knob at night. 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 I could eat a knob on the slip. I could eat a knob at night. I could eat a knob at night. I could eat a knob at night. It is hard eating a knob.
Karl, it's what we've all been waiting for. Oh, chimpanzee that monkey news.
Right, well, this one sent in from Sam in New York. right? And it's about a fire that happened, right, in a really... Do you know, like in New York, they have loads of big buildings, don't they?
Yeah.
Right, really, really tall ones and
Skyscrapers.
stuff. Yeah. And there was a fire in one of them, right? So they did as expected. They called up, fire brigade and that. They turned up, right? Fire engine parked up. It's like, right, where's the fire? And they said, oh, it's on like floor 100 or whatever. And they said, oh no, we've brought the fire engine with the short ladders.
Stupid mistake, but go on.
Right. So anyway, so they said, well, how are we going to get up there?
Yeah. We can't.
But they've only brought the short ladders.
No, we can't. Let's go home.
Yeah.
Okay, that was monkey news.
So they said, well, there's a lot of like grippage.
Because they made up words. The fireman, the NYPD fireman.
There's a lot of grippage
On the side of the building and stuff. So anyway, they said, why don't we just go and get a monkey, right? So they got a monkey.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a jump.
Is
They
that
just-
policy now in the New York Fire Department?
Well, you've got to think quick, haven't you? At the end of the day, if people are up there, you don't start querying if it work or not. You try everything that you can to help someone out, right?
That's the first thing I thought of, was it a monkey?
So it was quicker for them to go and get a monkey than to go back and get the long ladders.
Why don't they get
Okay, fair enough.
Why don't they get Spider-Man?
Yeah, call Spider-Man.
Yeah, call Spider-Man.
So anyway, so they got a monkey down there, and they said, right, well,
Where'd they get it from?
We don't know, from the local zoo or something.
Oh, yeah.
So they said, look, let's, we've got to remember there could be someone up there,
Right.
and it'll shock them a bit if a monkey comes in, right?
Yeah.
So they said,
Yeah, I don't think they'd care.
Get it
If their building's on fire, they're not going to go, oh, it's weird, there's a monkey at the window. They'd be screaming, save me! Oh, there's a monkey.
so
Where are
anyway,
you from then?
So they said, right, we'll just get it a little small uniform and that, the smallest you've got.
But whoa, hold on though. Actually, where are you going to get that? I'm going back to the station. We'll get the long ladders while you're there.
No time.
No time. No, I bought the small uniform. I just didn't bring the long ladders. You're an idiot.
So anyway, it goes up there. It's got all the kit on and what. It's got its little harder on and all that. It grabs. There was like a little person up there. Manages to grab that.
Not
give it
a
a little.
Who was up there then?
It was just
Someone that was just the right size for a monkey to be able to rescue, which is handy. Because if it had been anyone else, like a larger person or a family, we'd all been screwed.
No, I don't know about the size of it, but it's just the story saying how like it was quite a big monkey, and that it was good at breaking down doors.
Oh yeah.
It was good at climbing into small spaces and stuff like that. Anyway,
But
it
it's big enough to carry a fully grown man, but small enough to climb through a cat flap.
Yeah. So
which is handy.
So anyway, it managed to. Get
Did it have
the
the boots
person.
on as well?
It got the person and everything, and now it says it's sort of it's on call if they ever need it again. So.
Sure, and if they ever get anywhere again and they've forgotten the long ladders, but there's plenty of grippage, they just call for Coco.
So that's this week's monkey news.
Bollocks.
All right.
Questions for Karl, just to sort of try and tap into his brain, see what's going on there. Yeah. The questionnaire that is often featured at the end of the TV programme Inside the Actor's Studio. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Is that how it works?
Oh.
No,
What do you mean? What's the question?
Well, I don't know. You hear so many other things that you have to go through other gates. I can't imagine him being on the door, is what I'm saying. If he owns a place, what's he doing there? He could put anyone on it.
It's St. Peter, isn't it, who's normally minding the gates, famously.
Right, so it's him asking me.
Okay, well, let's say it's St. Peter.
No. You go through the gate. Peter goes, oh, you're expected. He's got an appointment. We're going through the guard. Go through a few doors. Go up top floor. Right, past the executive washroom into his big office. Okay, that overlooks the universe.
So what?
So you've gone in to see God. It's an audience with God. You've died. You've gone to heaven. And what would you like God to say to you at that point?
Probably just say, you've done well and that in your life. You never did anybody any harm. So, welcome to heaven. Any problems, give us a shout. Here's a little layout of like a little map. It's kind of like.
I love this. This is a great answer. And my favourite one is you never did anyone any harm. That's great. That's a brilliant thing for God to say.
Yeah.
So hang on, he's giving you a little map.
So he's giving you a little map of the area. It's
and
big.
he'll sort of say, this is where you go for this is where you go for that. I'd probably ask him about the ghost situation. I'd say, am I now a ghost then? Or is this just like another planet that I've come onto?
Right.
I don't know if he'd answer that. I don't know if he'd be sort of a bit
cagey.
Yeah, a little bit like, well, I don't want to panic you and stuff. I'd say, right, is it right that I can see past family and that? Because to be honest, I'd probably prefer to stay away.
He doesn't even want to.
No, but because the thing is, if
that's
you've done
amazing.
I've done all that in this life, so it's about moving on to another life and meeting different people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point? It's just
Yeah.
like the same all over again, but everywhere's white. I mean, I don't know if it is like
Do you
this.
think
I'm
God would like this podcast?
Well, I suppose it just kills half an hour, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but time's not a problem for him, is it?
Yeah, it is, because he lives for ages, so he needs loads of filler. I bet he's, doing stuff that he's just like, I'm not really into this, but it's something to do, isn't it?
Sudoku and stuff.
But I think there'll be just as many problems up there as there is here, because at least people are leaving here, whereas up there, that's the thing that I'd be worried about the most, actually, that it's really crowded. Because it's years and years of dead people, isn't it? London does me head in. Up there, it's going to be well busier than that.
David Bowie, Slow Burn, yeah. Quite a Eno trilogy
Yeah,
feel
not bad
about
at
it.
all,
Lodger
yeah. Is
and
it a
sort of
neutral?
low type, yeah. But, yeah.
Enjoyable.
Now, okay. That's stressful, isn't it? I think we've got things working now. We've had people coming in and out, just shaking their head going, shouldn't have bought that desk. But it's all sorted now, I think. And,
You notice how
I'm
it took
sorry.
about
What?
25 minutes for them to come down as well, though? Do you feel like we're maybe quite low in the pecking order in the building?
Definitely.
You know, it's like Capital First, Capital Gold. They can shoot off to other sort of pirate stations.
Yeah.
People's car radios, then they come back here.
Oh, dear. Oh, I had a job at Richard Sounds. Light fitting was buzzing. Now, but we've got... thanks for staying, listening. Right, okay, educating Ricky. What have we got? Airy Chinese kid, go on.
Right, yeah. This is the... I didn't want to do this.
What do you mean you didn't want to do it?
Well, I wanted to give you three, and I gave you one. It was like the alien man gets a beard or whatever.
Yeah,
And-
which was total rubbish, so this one should be better, maybe.
Hairy Chinese kid. Right, well, we've talked about hairy people in the past.
True enough.
Haven't we?
Yeah.
The little kids who grew up in woods and hung around with wolves and that.
Yeah, again, you're confusing it. Yeah, they're not... there were some people that were born... very hirsute. They were not the people who were brought up with wolves. You just put that together in your Homer Simpson type mind.
Right, well, this is like a sort of close to that sort of story.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, right, Chinese people aren't that hairy as a nation. No, seriously, that's a well-known fact. They don't have that much body hair and stuff.
Okay.
So this little kid who was born over there, he was like covered in stuff.
Was he?
And it was only his nose that wasn't hairy. The rest of his body was caked in hair, right? And his hair sort of
What
grew.
sort of hair was it? Was
thick hair.
No, what I mean is, was it sort of like a pony's mane, so he just looked like an Ewok? You know what I mean? Just like hanging down sort of straight, dark hair.
In the picture, it looked like it grows
was it
from his
downy?
eyebrow. It grows from his eyebrows quite thick, and then it just goes all the way over
You
his
don't
head.
think it was just really long eyebrows that he'd done a comb over?
No, it was all over his body. It had a picture of like his back and that.
Yeah.
And
Had he styled it? Had he styled it at all? Did he have it in a quiff or?
No, it was just
hanging everywhere.
all over him.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is a bit weird, happening in China, where we're not normally that hairy.
That was the scientist speaking there.
Yeah.
And the local press and that were getting him down, calling him Monkey Boy and all this.
Oh.
And
Thinking Chinese press.
but the doctor,
Yeah. Oh.
They're cruel, aren't they? It's like those game shows. That's Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah.
and the doctor said,
I was talking through all that time while we were just like talking to each other then. Because I turned round and I still saw he was talking. Go on.
So anyway, the local press came in to see the hairy boy, the monkey
yeah,
boy.
and they were like being tight, taking the mickey out of him. And the doctor said,
Throwing him nuts.
said he's only hairy. Said he's a healthy young kid. The only faults he's got is he's got a little bit of eczema and a boil. And he said everybody should just treat him the same, and I think he grew up a healthy kid. Yeah, so that's the.
That's
the end of the story.
That's not a story.
Why?
But I've got nothing. I don't know what to say to that. So someone in China was born slightly hairier than the rest, and he was normal apart from eczema and a boil. That to me isn't a story.
But if it is, I've got 1 million. I mean, it's sort of like bloke from Manchester went a bit bolder than the rest, got a job on radio. It was normal. I mean, that's not a story, is it? Do you know what I mean?
All right then.
We've just recorded T4. Bit stressful for you, isn't it?
Well, stressful.
Yeah.
Don't enjoy. You see, I've never done interviews for a job or anything.
No.
And that's what that feels like. You've got to impress them. It's that thing at the moment of a USP. What's your USP?
Yeah.
One of Suzanne's mates got a son.
Yeah.
Who's must be 16 or something.
Yeah.
Went for a job interview at Waitrose. That's what they asked him. What's your USP?
Really?
Stacking beans.
Yeah.
You don't need a USP for that.
You didn't even want a job, did you? You didn't even go to school.
Yeah, I didn't like school. There was no payback there for me at school.
Of course, what education is the payback?
They didn't teach me anything of any use. I'll tell you what they should do at school. I'll tell you where I learnt most stuff from.
Go on.
Bullseye. Jim Bowen. General knowledge. There's a maths bit in it where you're adding up.
Yeah.
Spelling. Let's check it with Bully.
Although current affairs would have them in trouble, wouldn't it?
But you don't really need to know current affairs. I think
Because they
it gets in the way.
change.
They change.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Are you listening, kids? You don't need to know current affairs. You don't need to go to school. You need to get Challenge TV. What advice would you give to kids today? Is someone watching there, they're, I don't know, 13, 14, maybe worried about exams? What am I going to do?
We're not
with my
worrying
life?
that much, are they? They're sat on the internet like that watching this. Turn that off from the start. That's a starting point.
Okay, well, not yet though. Don't turn it off yet, because Uncle
can if they
Carl,
want, they should
Uncle
do.
Carl is going to give you advice. I'll play a young kid, a young teenager, right? Right, and you've got to inflame my quest for knowledge, my quest for excellence, my quest for achievement. Okay, right? All right, Carl.
Right. What do you think about when you sat there now?
Just nothing. Just thinking that I wish I was sitting here more. In a way, I'm sitting here now. I feel I wish I was sitting here more.
Yeah, I couldn't handle a kid like that, to be honest. You're like gormless. I mean, it's today's youth like that.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Okay. Okay. Right. What if I was like this? Right. Right. Right, Carl. I'm fed up. I don't want to do anything with my life. Life's never going to get any better for me.
Well, maybe it isn't, actually. If you're like this... You can, because there's no point building you up and making you have this dream that you're going to be a professor or something if you look like that. There's more divs in the world at the end of the day. And sometimes we have to accept that there is kids at home watching this who are like that. They're probably going, oh, yeah, it's like me. They are like that, and they're not going to get anywhere. So there's no point building them up and saying, don't be like that. You could be a lawyer, you could be a solicitor. They're not going to be. There's a lot of idiots in the world. So, live with it.